Do you know
Welcome
how
back.
I always talk over Keith when he starts saying welcome back, and then Keith has to edit it out, and it's awkward?
No, that's the intro now.
Oh, dang it. You're going to...
Congratulations. The intro is just you.
I always talk over you.
Give me... Because I paused for like 3 seconds to make sure the recordings have all started correctly and so on. And don't just start talking immediately. And you're just like, oh, I had an opening. I better fill this up.
Fill it. Talk.
Let's see. We have one remaining question email, I think. I think that's it. So Finn Icebear asks, so I've been following your videos for a few years now, and I've always surprised by how consistently you're able to put out content. I'm someone who is working constantly on short-term and long-term projects at the same time and have to get too overwhelmed and end up dropping things that I really wanted to complete or not even letting myself start new things to begin with. My question is, do you have a highly flexible work schedule where anything can get worked on at any time, or do you find it easier to get really getting into one thing and focusing on finishing the project before trying to tackle another? I haven't found anything that works well for me yet, but hey, that's how the ADHD dice roll.
Ooh, I don't know what
the definitions of some of the stuff is, because I'm always there is no such thing as just working on one project all the time, because I have my job project where I have to do Let's Plays forever.
I can comment about the ADHD thing, so I'll reserve that for I don't know if you guys have it, but I don't, as far as I know. I think so. Is the gist of the question about having a fixed work schedule or not? Is that it? Did I misunderstand it?
I don't think it's about a fixed work schedule. I think it's more of just how do you keep up a consistency long term like that? Like, for example, I don't know, like how do you consistently upload videos every day for multiple years?
The question was essentially in that it starts with the sentence, my question is, do you have a highly flexible work schedule where anything can be worked on at any time, or do you find it easier to really get into one thing and focus on finishing that project before you tackle another?
Yeah, so I don't do YouTube full time, and lately I haven't been doing YouTube as much as I used to. I think that probably connects to the question as well, the fact that I have been basically slowing down and the reasons for it. But I think that it does depend on, for me, it definitely depends on the way I start recording. So, or the way, like how I feel when I push the button shapes the way I do my videos. So for the longest time, I would basically record by myself, and I would record the episodes like a few in a row, or maybe just one, depending on how I felt. But for me, doing YouTube and doing videos was a way to not have to think about the stress of work and all that whole environment, and just arrive home. I had something that I love doing, and it's so much fun to play games with other people watching, and it's basic. I always felt it like that, and so basically I came home and I looked forward to recording 4 episodes or 5 episodes or however many episodes I published in one day, and so it basically boils down to me not having any other thing going on with me besides work and YouTube. But I think the main point for me is that I psyched myself up to record. And so if I arrived home in a bad mood, or I didn't feel like it, I would not record, because it doesn't work like I don't think I can pull off the energy that I have on a normal Let's Play episode if I'm not feeling like it, or if I don't like the game I might not like the game, but it's just like, if I'm not feeling like playing the game, even if I don't like it, which I usually do, but still. So because of that, it's kind of a mixture of that, of the flexible schedule, because you're psyching yourself up, but at the same time, the reasons I was psyching myself up and this situation changed a year ago. But the reasons for that was because I was trying to basically cut my work life off and be like, okay, let's do games now. This is good. And so I used Let's Playing and used recording as a sort of a rest time. I was resting basically, even though psyching yourself up it takes effort. It takes, a certain, it's tiresome to a certain extent. And these days I changed that for me because my work is now, well, it's still stressful, but it's it's less intensive and much more healthy in terms of personal relationship inside the company. So I'm very glad to be in that situation. And what that means is that I don't have the need to decompress after work. And so basically I stop work and I'm like, cool. Well, I feel good, and so I don't feel the need to be like, let's record. And I also changed the way I record my Let's Plays, which is I do it live on stream, and I think that connects to it. If you're a streamer, like if you have a schedule and your viewers are expecting you to be live, that's it's right there. It's the schedule. You need to do it whether you like it or not. And if you convert that into a Let's Play after, then editing is magic, so it's fine. But if you're just more of a traditional Let's Player, on YouTube anyway, then I think you can get away with less of that schedule, especially if you value your mood, I suppose, which I think is an important thing.
I'm trying to think for myself, which is hard. It's very hard to have independent thought. I would say I'm more likely to impulsively do things than I am to have a plan. Exactly. Like I don't have like a rigid plan for things that I start often. It tends to be something that I'll do the planning while we're live kind of deal. And but it's different when it comes to like Let's Plays, where I have at least I think I have a more consistent or I try to keep things more consistent in that way. The question's weird because like I'm thinking just in general, like in general when I am doing something, it's mostly impulsive. There isn't like some grand plan. There isn't it doesn't go much beyond like time and date is when it will start. And then everything from there is kind of just what happens. But I would say that the more invested I become into something, the more like emotion I tie to something, the more planning I'll do for it. So if I think a lot about something before doing it, I am more likely. And that's how you like build more emotion into something. Is the more you think about it and you build all these expectations, like then I'm more likely to be more organized about it, or I'm willing to sit down and come up with a schedule and come up with a plan and be consistent with it and figure out what I need and all that stuff. Whereas, if it's just like if I just look at something and go, that sounds like fun, and just do it, then I may not finish it. I may not follow through. It's just, that's just the way that I view projects is like wildly mostly chaotically.
Are you talking?
YouTube's really weird because YouTube is like this thing where the moment you're not doing it, it's like it doesn't exist anymore. It's like you have to keep doing it all the time, or it feels like you don't have a channel.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Tell that to like JonTron.
Mm-hmm. Andrew, when you talk about projects, do you mean just because it sounded like you're not just talking about YouTube? It sounded like you're talking about other things as well.
Well, the question wasn't very specific about just content creation. It seemed more it was just like in general, like when you're doing like treating YouTube like Let's Plays are projects, right? Yeah, when you pick up a game, you have to treat it like it's a new project. You're like, I'm going to beat this game. Am I going to 100% it? Am I going to am I going to stream it, or am I just going to record it? Like there's a lot of things that go into just picking a single game, and I consider those to be like individual projects. But also just anything in life, something. I'm just trying to think of like even I want to read a book. Okay, well, am I just going to start the book and hope it goes well? Like, hope I can finish the book before my brain finds other things to do? Or am I going to sit down and say, like, every night at 10 p.m., I'm going to read this fucking book so I can finish it? I think that, I try to treat, or I like to look at everything as a project because with I don't know, for me, with, like, ADHD, you kind of sometimes need to do that, or else if you just let your brain come up with what it decides will be the conclusion, or like the process to go with, it often won't be anything. Your brain will just decide arbitrarily and very uncaringly that it is just over now. We have like ceased caring about this thing. We will not remember it. I will not remind you that this thing exists. I will just focus 100% on something else. And so yeah,
I asked because it did sound like you were talking about more than YouTube, and I think that's healthy to see things as projects. The trick, I speak as somebody who doesn't have ADHD, but I do struggle with starting projects and not finishing them, or I watch a YouTube video about, I don't know. It doesn't happen too much, but it does happen. Like this year, I watched the YouTube video about mountain bikes just on a whim, and I was like, oh, this new technology and like the new bikes, they're pretty cool, because I had a mountain bike like 20 years ago. That's nothing compared to the new ones. Yeah, they're pretty cool and whatnot. And then I'm moving now, and I looked at the surrounding area. I was like, well, maybe where I'm going, where I've already bought the house, maybe there's mountains around, because I know there's some mountains around. But then it turns out there's a huge bike park around the place. I was like, you know what? I'm getting a mountain bike, and turns out they're all out of stock. But I figured something out, and yeah. So that does happen on a whim, starting a project. But just to like bring it all back to my initial point is, I think it's important as well to be okay with reassessing your goals. And I'll give an example. If reassessing your goals in the spirit of getting things done, sometimes it's okay to not do something just so you can do something else instead, especially if you have too much on your plate. So back in 2020, at the beginning of 2020, I was considering either buying a new computer desk or making a new computer desk myself. And now all the computer desks that I wanted to buy weren't really good for my current and at the time room. And I was like, oh, this is all a compromise. If I'm going to spend this much money, I'm not going to spend it on a compromise, because good computer desks, they're expensive. And so I started looking at carpentry stuff, and I'm like, maybe I can make it myself. It's not, I have some experience. Not finishing is a bit of a scary thing, but cutting wood and like doing all that stuff, I can do that. I can do that. And there's so many YouTube channels dedicated to that, and they're all done in a way that convince people that anybody can do it, and anybody can do carpentry stuff. It's just not as good as they make it look.
I was gonna say, you're describing my brother, who is perpetually doing carpentry now and is often picking up entire hobbies off of YouTube.
Mm-hmm. So what happened to me is I had a budget. I did all the research. I had a budget. I knew what tools I was going to need. I knew the shortcuts I was going to take, so I didn't have to have a table saw or like all sorts of things that are specific for for example, making joints. I knew I had my project, and I still have it, but I had my project where I didn't have to make joints, so I didn't have to learn. That's tricky. I would just I had the table all set up and configured in a way that would work without joints, and it was a solid project for €500. I had things down. That's wood, that's tools, everything included. I was good, and I bought some tools. I spent €150 on stuff. And one of the first things was doing a hack it kind of thing with a circular saw, where you can use a circular saw as a substitute for a table saw. And if you don't know what those are, circular saw is the stuff that you usually use to like cut pallets outside, or like you can cut tape.
Big loud one.
They're all big and loud. It's the one that you can pick it up by your in your hand and use it as like a. I don't remember the name of the other one, but yeah, it's a round circular saw.
Keith has to not record for the next few hours because someone's using a circular saw on this block.
Yes, that is exactly So a table saw is like a circular saw but inverted. So it's the circular saw turned upside down and it's on a table, and you can use it with things. So there was this channel with a brilliant video about how to turn your circular saw into a table saw. And I was like, oh, for 60 euros, I can just, get some wood and do this thing and save a lot of money. And I got my tools going. So that was like the first step of my project, besides just buying a couple of things. And that first step turns out that the video overly exaggerated how solid and sturdy the hacked together table saw was. And I was like, this is not good enough. So I have a circular saw.
This is how people end up dying trying to make the fucking electric wood thing.
Yeah.
A bunch of fucking YouTubers lie about basic elements and don't warn people about any of the downsides or dangers because they're essentially selling the idea that this is a cool thing. Wow, look at this life hack, and then expecting no one to actually do it.
Exactly. So, I mean, I'm not accusing anybody and certainly I'm not accusing the YouTube channel that I saw of like malicious videos or anything. It's just for what I wanted, the accuracy of the hacked together table saw wasn't good enough because the problem was I was doing long stretches of wood for a big table. I was doing it in an accurate enough way that would require some accuracy. So like it wasn't good enough. So like this was like mid-pandemic as well, or at the beginning. So like early on, I was like 2 months into the whole thing. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not making a table, and I'm just gonna have to eat the money I spent already. Because if I wanted to do something properly, I would have to buy a lot more money. So turns out I didn't need a new table because I got a new house, so the room is better, and I can buy a table from IKEA. It's fine. But the moral of the story is, if things don't work out right at the start, the usual
give up
way
immediately and never try again.
It's not as well. Yes, that is the moral of my story. Give up immediately and never try again. But the real reason why you should do that isn't that the real reason isn't that you can't achieve things that are difficult, but rather, unless you're really committed and unless you have experience, if you're a newcomer to anything, when there's like a huge thing right at the beginning, you're just going to sink so much time into doing nothing and you're going to get demoralized. Not just for that particular, for carpentry in this case, but for other stuff as well, if you get into whatever different things are. So it's important to finish what you start, but it's also, in order for you to do that on a regular enough basis, you need to pick your battles. I think that's my recommendation. Don't buy a circular saw for a table saw. Just get a table saw. They're only 3 times as expensive. It's not that much. I promise you. If you're, yeah, it's fine. Get the table saw, the cheap one from DeWalt's or whatever. I don't know the brands.
No, I think it'd be more safe to just make it out of a screwdriver or just a drill. Just get an electric drill, put a saw blade on the end of it, and then put like a piece of wood over on top of it, and then just cut a hole using the saw into the wood, and then fit the saw over that hole. And there you go. Look, now you have a perfectly good, easy to use table saw, and you didn't even need to spend.
It's like a dentist. It's like a dentist thing, but with a huge saw.
It's tools are like rough. Death. I think there's I don't know. Tools are one of the most annoying things to me, just because it feels like if you go to like any kind of tool you go to like any kind of home improvement store, it feels almost like every single tool is the exact same goddamn tool. You look at a saw, and you look at a saw from one company and a saw from another company, and you hold them exactly next to each other, and you go, wow, those are saws. They are just the same fucking saw. This one is green, this one is red, but they're both just saws.
But that's because you can't tell. It's tricky.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I can't tell, but when I go online and look at videos, it doesn't seem like anyone else can tell either, because everyone says the same thing about each saw. So like, oh, well, can you tell me about this brand of saw? It's like, yes, it can do this, 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 and these are its downsides. All right, tell me about this other competitor saw. I was like, okay, it can do this, 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 and has the exact same downsides. I'm like, well, what is the feature of this saw then, besides its brand name? Like, the blade is interchangeable, so I can just put whatever blade I want on it. It's just a vehicle. It's like the shell of a car with no tire or engine in it, where you're like, okay, well, that shell looks fancy. Can I use it? And someone just goes like, yeah, but I don't think you're gonna like that grip. That grip has a little bit of funny bumps on it, and you're like, oh, okay, well, is there like a cataclysmically?
You're spot on.
Is there like a cataclysmic error here? Like, is this one 15 centimeters like bent in the wrong way and I can't cut wood anymore? Or is it like just nuanced shit? And it's like, it's just nuanced shit. Like, I work on an assembly line with 400 other burly men with giant beards, and we all hate it when we have to grip our saws just a little too hard, because then when we go home and try to eat sausage with our forks, it hurts our thumbs. Like, it's always something
but that's
so
not even
mundane.
True though.
But it's always something it's always like something so mundane though. Like, you look at two different tools. Like, I have a drill. I went to buy there was a sale going on, and I could get these like two items I've been looking for, which one was a hand vacuum shop vac. And another was a
loud when the shop vac's on.
It is, and another, especially when it's on your hand, because you can't get away from it. And the second one was like an air pump, so like for like inflating tires or deflating tires if you want to be a criminal. And
you deflate tires with an air pump? What kind of air pump is that?
Yeah, so the air pump what it does is when it's...
There are non-criminal reasons to deflate your tires.
There are,
when you're going off-road.
I'm not going to use them for non-criminal reasons, but
you're going to use them for criminal reasons then?
Yeah, of course.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. That's the only reason you'd ever have that.
I think you deflate your tires when you put chains on.
Yeah, so you need to deflate tires when you put chains on.
Or when you need to change your tire.
Yeah, when you change it, it really helps if you deflate it, because it's a lot less heavy. Things like that. But anyways, the point is that I could get these two devices for really affordable, because it was like a buy one get one free, basically, as long as you bought these two obscenely large batteries for these devices. And so for context, like anytime tools exist, like say like I was talking about, you have the green tool and the red tool. Well, both companies that make those tools make like 5,000 other tools. Every tool, any tool you can think of, both of these companies make tools for that. Because that is the way that it works now. So you don't just go and like buy a handsaw from so-and-so and then buy a table saw from that and that. You got to buy everything from one person, because they all take special batteries, or they all take like special adapters and attachments. Or they just look good in your garage because they have these advertisement pictures and are like, this could be your garage if you weren't a scumlord. Look at all these red devices. They all look good together, right? You don't want
the yellow ones are better.
Green. No, you don't want yellows in your reds. Ooh, that's gross.
That's so true, though. You're spot on.
And so when I went there to buy these two batteries, I was picking up these two objects. Obviously, just a shop vac, just a deflator. Not much. I'm not asking for rocket science here. I pick up both of them, and I'm getting ready to go. And someone goes, hey, heads up, bud. That brand's actually not very good. And meanwhile, he's holding...
I will kill you.
Meanwhile, he's holding this red device of the exact same nature as mine.
That costs and being 3 times as much.
It costs the exact fucking same as mine.
Oh no!
Except it doesn't have a deal going on for the buy one get one free. So that's the only difference between these two devices, and they're different colors, obviously. God forbid. And so And so I was like, okay, thanks for letting me know, I guess. And and it just like, I don't know. I just was thinking like, at what point does it matter to buy tools from a specific vendor? Like, what besides the weird brand loyalty, I feel like tools have become very good. Like, there's either a tool that works or a tool that doesn't work. But most power tools tend to just be usable power tools. Even when I go and watch videos of like fancy carpenters doing fancy carpenter things, I see all of them using wildly different brands for varying different things. And it doesn't seem to me like a lot of them have, like, anytime I look for brand loyalty, it's always from reviewers. It's never from actual woodworkers. Woodworkers always seem to just be like, I don't know, I had this saw for like 25 years and I got it when I was in poverty.
Hasn't killed me yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Tried a few times.
Yeah, it's just like, it hasn't killed me yet, and that's what I respect about it. And I'll use it till I die, aka it kills me. Like, that's just what they do. It's like, all right, I guess those are the people I trust the most. Of like, when I'm looking to buy something, I'll see, especially like, or cooking channels are a good example of this. You'll see someone's like, I have this wand. That's it. And you're like, why do you have that? And it's like, I just have it. And that's what I use. And they just like saw something with it. And you're like, oh, fuck. All right, well, it does a good job, I guess. He's using it, but he won't recommend it to me, which is really weird. He just has the thing. He just pulls it out like everyone has one. Here's your saw. Take your saw. And you're like, I don't have that. What saw is that? Are you going to tell me about that saw you got? And he's like, no, I'm going to use it. And he's just like, oh, fuck. All right. But then you'll like go and look up like about that saw on YouTube, and there'll be like 500 videos for every single saw ever made on the market, and they're all positive. And you're like, what? Fuck. Like,
I don't know how it works in the UK. The US, but here in Portugal, my dad works in construction, and I helped him, like, growing up. I would go to construction places and help him out and stuff. So I have a general understanding of how professionals do things with their tools and whatnot. And I certainly have a very good understanding how my dad does things with his tools. And here, like, everything is going to be the cheapest item that with the correct features. Obviously, like, drills are an interesting thing, because if you buy the cheapest drill, for example, you're not going to be able to drill into stone, because drilling into stone requires a hammer in the drill. And even the cheapest hammer drill is going to require, there's different levels and whatnot, but as long as it has the features, professionals here that I know anyway, they'll buy the cheapest stuff. And the thing is, it's so much worse than, like, the thing is, they know how to use the tools, and they use them in ways that they're obvious, that sometimes the tools aren't even meant to be used. They just know how to work around the limitations of the tools. And when a professional picks up I don't know, a saw or a drill or whatever, and it works all day on with that thing, and that thing just was the cheapest stuff on the store, then they just run that thing ragged for a year or whatever, however long it lasts. It's not the same kind of life than that an amateur do it things at home kind of person is going to give to a tool. So you'd think that, like, with this situation, you'd think that a person who just, I want to hang some whatevers on my wall, I'll buy a drill. And I'll buy the cheapest one, because it doesn't matter if it doesn't last very long, because I'm not going to give it a hard life, right? You'd think that would be how it works. The professionals would buy the more expensive stuff because it lasts longer, it has more features, it makes their life easier. They save money because their life is easier. And then the person who does it at home, or the amateur or whatever, is going to buy the cheapest. But it's actually not the way it works. It's the other way around, because or I'm not saying that no professionals buy really fancy stuff. Obviously they do. But if they work in as contractors, there's a disincentive to that, at least here in Portugal, because your stuff gets nicked. You can't leave it anywhere, because people just take it. And unless the construction site is like secured or anything. But yeah, if you're just a general contractor, it's kind of a problem. So what ends up happening is it's it's an excuse to have a fancier power tool, and you spent money on it, and like it all that it matters is how you use it anyway. A fancier power tool is not going to allow you to make anything better. It's just the same thing, except it's fancier, and you spent more money on it, so you're going to like it. So what you're saying is this is red instead of yellow. That is basically it. It's just people who like, and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's totally fine if you like the stuff you have. That is a cool thing, and being able to. And maybe you even do more stuff because you like the stuff you have, especially if you can afford it. Like maybe you do more repairs at home because, it's just an excuse to use this new fancy whatever thing with a flashlight on it or whatever. But for professionals, the reality I observed growing up was just that they would always have the rattiest, kind of crappiest tools ever in the world. And like my dad used to use... I don't remember the name of it doesn't matter the name of the brand because it was a no-name brand. It was a yellow hammer drill. He bought it for 25 euros and it lasted him 7 years. And starting on the second week, that thing was spitting oil already. It was just like the bushings were all. It's not the bushings; it's the O-rings and whatever. They were just bad because hammer drills have a super tough life. So after like more than an hour of drilling, they just break. Because they're not meant to be, like, the cheapest stuff is not meant to last for more than an hour because it's just to hang some stuff on your wall as an amateur person. But my dad used that for 7 years. And I eventually, like, to the point where whenever I needed something, I would, I wouldn't ask him. I didn't ask him. I bought my own drill. That cost 35 euros and it didn't die because I just wanted to hang something on a wall. But the thing is, like, it wasn't my room. I wanted to drill a hole and I couldn't ask for his drill because it's like oil all over the place. It's terrible. But on the construction site, it's fine.
Yeah, that's
like
that's what I mean. It's just like it's frustrating when you try to you just want a thing and there are a lot of instances where knowing information about certain products is important. Like even something stupid you wouldn't think about, like a fan in your room. It kind of matters what kind of fan you buy. Like you got to be careful about the speeds and the way that it shoots air out or sucks air in and like all this stuff. But a lot of power tools are just like, look, man, I don't give a fuck. It's going to go through whatever you want it to do. You want it to drill, it's going to fucking drill. How long you want it to drill, like how messy you want it to drill, I don't care about that. You didn't ask me about that. If you want it to drill, it will drill. And then like once you get to a certain level, there becomes like a price fall off. Like once you get to a certain tier, nothing matters anymore except for like brand loyalty. Like you're not buying anything extra when you pay like $700 for a table saw. You're just basically saying like, yeah, I trust that brand to not die on me and give me $700 worth of an investment. But who cares, man? I've used saws in like workshops that have been there probably since saws were invented, and they're fine. They just keep spinning, and
it's all down to how you use them. It's the skill. It's not about the tool. And
it's a tool too. And tools are mostly about maintenance. Like you can keep a tool forever, especially like a professional. Just keep a tool forever because it goes like, oh yeah, I know this thing sucks ass, but if you just like throw oil in this spot, it'll be fine. And you're like, oh, all right. He's like, I've been doing it for 40 years, and it's like, oh my god, all right, man. But like, I don't know. It's always funny to me when I see that stuff because I don't care. I pick tools that are convenient for me. So I have all my stuff is from a green brand, and it's not because I have any allegiance. I would be more than happy to buy a red brand if the fucking batteries would fit in it, but they don't, so I can't. I made that. I basically. In. Yeah, like I made a bad decision. Yeah. I bought.
That's why I buy corded. No batteries.
Yeah, but I can't use corded because 90% of the time when I'm trying to do any kind of project, it's outside and there's no goddamn outlets outside. So I'm just stuck looking like an idiot running a cable like 40 years away from me. And I just have to like, all right, I guess it's just, I hate that. And so it's like, fine, I'll get wireless stuff. I committed to this green brand. Completely fine. I don't care. I have never had any issues with them. The most I had was I was upset that my drill, I bought a regular drill and I was upset that it couldn't do impact drill stuff. And I was like, I get it. It's not an impact drill, so of course it can't do that. But I'm mad because now I have to go buy a fucking impact drill, and I hate that. But whatever, I'll deal with it.
They're more expensive. Yeah.
And they are more
What is an
expensive.
impact drill? Actually, don't know.
The difference. So an impact drill. He's asking what an impact drill is.
Right. It's the hammer thing that I was referring to before. Impact is the correct term.
Yeah, impact drills are basically just. It's a
so
lot of
the normal
force.
drill does the sound, where the hammer drill does the sound.
Yeah.
They actually, the impact drill. They can also just act as impact with like a chisel thing instead of a drill thing, but it's for stone basically.
So for context here, it's the speed at which it spins the drill bit. Is a regular drill spins it at a certain cap.
If we're doing stone, I'm calling someone else.
Oh yeah, that's a good. That is how you do it
that.
actually.
So for context here, an impact drill is really good for say concrete. You want to drill a hole into some concrete so you could put like a fence beam into it. You don't know.
Want to drill a hole in concrete.
I'm saying it's fine. It's not a big deal. It's not a problem. It's really easy to do. Or impact drills are really great for putting like sheetrock on. You want to put sheetrock on a wall after you've burnt a hole in it and you need to replace it so no one knows. Sheetrock or a impact drill is gonna help you out there. It'll go right through a stud. Just boom, boom, boom. Fantastic. No effort. Impact drills are great when you don't want to be sitting there pushing all of your entire body force and maybe your neighbor, if he's nice enough to, into a fucking drill just so you can drill through something. An impact drill just says like, I don't know what that is, but it's gonna get a hole in it, and you just put a hole right through it.
The thing with the impact drill is that you can turn it off. So you bought your old drill, but the new drill basically is like the old drill except better. So you if you're gonna buy a drill, get an impact one because they're toggleable. Actually, this has layers. If you're gonna buy an impact drill, buy one that has a screwdriver thing mode as well. So it's even more expensive. But that way you can do impact screwdrivers. For example, that's good for wood screws, but also for like not torque wrench. What am I saying? For taking your tires off or taking the wheels off of your car, and just like because it's better because it's not gonna slip. It's just like they're super good, and they work with the impact thing. But they need to have like a special mode for that. You shouldn't use your impact drill with a screw if it doesn't have a screwing mode. You're gonna break things. Yeah.
Also, if you are somebody who's going to be using an impact drill for impact drilling, like consistently, you're probably gonna want to try to find one with a handle on it, like a gun handle on it.
Yes.
Don't just get the one where it's
not one with an adapter. Don't do it an adapter because unless you're drilling bricks. Yeah.
No, you want one with a built-in handle because those are the ones that will keep your fucking poor baby arms from collapsing on themselves. But again, tools.
It's like coffee. It's right. I was earlier yesterday actually. I was like, so right now the way I drink my coffee, I have this high pressure little coffee machine that I put the coffee dust. What's it called?
Coffee grounds?
No, not the grounds after it's grinded.
Yeah, the grounds. We call those coffee grounds. When you're talking about after it's been the beans have been grinded up.
Oh, really? I didn't know. Yeah.
We call it coffee grounds.
Yeah. So I put it in the thing, and it just does the coffee like that. And oftentimes I just buy pre-ground coffee, but I sometimes get beans we have a coffee shop around here, and I get like this €6 bean that's a little bit more expensive, and I like it. But I only really like it if it's freshly ground. The thing is, my coffee grinding machine is big, and it's meant for you to just dump the whole thing because it's an old coffee grinding machine from when I was a kid. It's meant for you to dump the whole bag in and just do the whole thing immediately, and that's it. And so I'm moving houses, and I was like, okay, I need a coffee machine because the one that I have is going to stay here with my family. I need a coffee grinder. And I was looking at the coffee grinders, and I did the mistake of, or not mistake, I did what I think any person tends to do, which is sort by price, lowest first, look at what's up, look at the prices here and see, start to budget things. Cheapest coffee grinder, €15. And I was like, that seems a little bit that's too small because it's like a tiny one. But maybe that's good because I'm gonna live by myself. Maybe I'm gonna freshly grind my beans every time. It sounds like what a fancy hipster would do. That I'm down for that life. But 15 euros not that much. I started scrolling down and they go up 25, 30, 40, 50, and I'm like, okay, let's sort by the highest price. And I don't remember the price exactly. It was easily more than 300 euros for a coffee grinder. And it's just a grinder. And it's individual things. And I don't know what features it has, but I don't care because I'm not spending 300 euros on a coffee grinder. I budgeted for the 25 euro one. And I don't know if it matters. Maybe the 15 euro is better.
I mean,
or the same, I should say.
Just like with tools, you can use a drill to grind your coffee if you want to. You can get a...
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. I've seen YouTube videos where they do that. Yeah.
God damn it.
Oh, so if you're gonna buy a drill, you should also buy one with a coffee adapter.
You should get a coffee grade drill.
Yeah, exactly.
Just get an attachment for it. Just find a way to solve all your problems with drills. You get a drill powered microphone for your Let's Plays. You just
drills are really powerful.
Drill shower head.
It's easier for the mic to pick up audio when it's spinning around because then it's getting it from all degrees, right?
It's catching all of it like Sonic in the half pipe.
Exactly.
So fucking stupid. I hate every part of my life where I have to try to make any kind of choice around anything technical or like hardware related. And I try to skip that as best as I can because every single time, first of all of the official things you can look at that give you any information about anything are the people trying to sell you the stuff, so they're useless. But then everybody around you is like a weird mix of brand loyalty and like identity shit. Like it's like people are still mad about that for last time I talked about this, but it's the fucking like the correct way to cook steak and stuff like that. Like weird opinions that are like practically memes.
People are mad about that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's very important how to cook a steak.
What?
Well, that was the furry episode, and so that was like, oh, you let people live how they live and make their own choices and whatnot. But then you dared in the same episode to say that people should cook food, and I'm like, this is not the contradiction that these fucking like dozen comments seem to think it is. This is not the gotcha. Like, swear to God. It's I keep getting really stupid comments on that one, but like, there's just.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Or just like weird elements of like, oh, you shouldn't get that kind of car. That kind of car is for lesbians and like these bizarre like attached. Yes. You didn't grow up. You didn't grow up around people claiming that Subarus are for lesbians. Is that a thing?
Wow. Subarus?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's so much bizarre brand shit.
What do you mean Subarus?
What? I don't know. I don't understand masculinity or half of how people identify their consumerism as part of their personality and shit.
No, not gay, lesbian specifically.
Oh, here it is. First article. Are Subarus... how Subarus came to be seen as cars for lesbians. What? 20 years ago? How? What the fuck?
There was an
Impreza. This bizarre apocrypha bullshit.
It looks like it was
like Impreza, isn't it?
Yeah, it was made during the time that everyone knows as being the best in human history, the 90s.
They were the best time, weren't they?
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm trying to see like
it depends a lot on who you were.
What is
That's fair. That's actually very fair.
What does an all-wheel drive vehicle have to do with lesbians? Like what? Oh no. It's because that's just a weird a weird demographic of people who bought cars or Subarus. Like, there just happened to have been. We did research and found pockets of the country, like Northampton, Massachusetts, and Portland, Oregon, where the head of household would be a single person and often a woman.
It's just like an article, maybe, and they ran with it.
It's just some marketing person said, it's kind of weird. It looks like a lot of women buy Subarus for some reason.
Because
maybe they're lesbian? Like, what?
Yeah, masculinity is fucked.
It's noise.
In
But
general,
it's just like,
I dropped the toxic. It's just the whole thing. Throw it all out.
it's just whenever
no,
you have to
I'm
make a
kidding,
technical
obviously.
choice that's expensive about hardware of any kind, there's always this really frustrating dynamic where like everyone involved is an untrustworthy source, but also people are weirdly prideful about their opinions, and so they have like a bunch of like go-to conversations they're just used to having about the exact thing. So the moment you bring it up, they just kind of launch into this tirade about a bunch of shit that means nothing to you because they're not like actually talking to you. They're just kind of like doing the dude explaining thing where they just like go on about their nerdy shit because everyone's a nerd about something, I guess. But like, you're just like, I'm not getting anything from this. I have no idea what you're fucking talking about. And it's like the act of making the whatever correct choice is always like this behavior of trying to become like an expert in an entirely new field. And it's like, I just want to get a fucking camera or something. Like, I don't want to learn about old cameras. And so I can learn about all the things that I need to know about cameras. And it's like, I like barely knew the handful of like things of like what aperture and whatnot meant when I worked at Best Buy and had to sell cameras. But like nowadays it's like, what are all these really specific things you got to know about? Like this setting puts a red outline around things that are in focus or whatever, but like you don't know what to even ask for or what to know to look for that's useful in a camera or what features to check for because you don't even know what they're called. So you just have to like from the ground up do like hours or days of research to figure out a bunch of features that you don't even know to ask about in the first place and so on. Or you do what I do, which is I just DM'd Zoe B on Twitter and was like, "What camera do you use?" And then I bought that camera.
Damn.
You
And, like,
did an influencer. No,
Yeah,
the
That's
other
just what
way.
I do. I just on a regular
You got
basis,
influenced.
I just poke another YouTuber or I look at their behind the scenes videos and I find their equipment and I just buy that because it's so much easier than just being like, I'm gonna spend this whole fucking afternoon becoming a fucking expert in a whole new field instead of working on anything that I actually want to work on.
Well, what you're
And then
doing is just eating the. You're paying more than you need to pay, but
Don't care.
which is fine.
I don't
It's
care
fine.
because I get to just move on with my life.
No,
'Cause
but
here's
yeah,
the
it's
thing.
absolutely
Here's the
fair.
thing. Every time I have ever tried to make my own decision on this stuff, the second that it's made, the moment I have the thing in my hands, something immediately comes up anyway of like, oh, you should have looked into this. And then fucking one person walks in the room and sees the choice I made. And then they have all these opinions all of a sudden. It's like, cool. Thanks for telling me afterwards. It's like when somebody tells you that you cooked something wrong. I'm like, fuck you.
That's
Oh, you
why
should have put
ask
this
for-
in 20 minutes ago. Fuck you. I'm eating it now. I don't need
That's
this
why you
feedback
should ask
now.
for the-
I just had the act of getting food, and I want to just eat the food now. I don't want to hear from you about all the things I should have done different earlier. It's not your food. Get out of the kitchen. I want your unbidden opinions about every choice I've made. It's why it's why I immediately glaze over the moment anything about computers comes up in our like collective group chat. Kind of like, oh, you should get a RAID hard drive. I'm like, fucking no, I'm not listening to any of this. I'm moving
You
on with
should,
my
though.
life. All of
You
your
absolutely
computers,
should.
everyone I know has more technical problems than me, and they have more opinions about technology.
thing-
And I'm like, this doesn't seem like a good correlation. I should not do that.
There's a feeling that's so good. If you ask
So
people,
y'all motherfuckers go in deep, and then
No,
guess
just-
what? All your shit's broken all the time. Sounds like an upgrade to me.
Wow.
Well, yeah.
I feel called out.
I don't
Jesus.
have broken stuff.
You are called. I'm
I'm
calling you out.
yeah, you're not me though. I'm very good.
You
at
and
computers.
Bird and Effie and everyone. I'm like,
I would
It's
win against
cool, it's
Andrew
working
on a
great for
computer
you
fight.
guys.
So there's a lot that goes into this. I think it's not just that how do I explain this well? There are a lot of benefits to going and having more complicated setups. The downside is usually the downside here though becomes that because these complicated setups are not what considered the norm, a lot of the stuff necessary for these setups to work are consumer grade equipment that obviously does not want to do that. It has no interest. Like Windows has zero fucking interest in doing whatever you want to do with it. Windows shows up
is
and
the
says,
worst.
I'm here for two things. You accessing the internet through Edge primarily, or Internet Explorer, or whatever we tell you to use, or you can run a program, primarily Office or one of those Microsoft programs we asked you to use. That's all it wants you to do. If you do anything beyond those two things, it gets upsetty spaghetti and will do whatever it can to fuck you over every step of the way. Oh, you have audio settings that aren't the default drivers? Not after my update. Oh no, did you install a program that uses certain kernels? Well, my update doesn't care about that anymore because it didn't ruin a Microsoft application. Oh, a Microsoft application broke? Well, I'm going to roll back this update and we're going to fix this problem immediately. And you're like, oh, I see that there might be some priorities here that are never going to be my priorities. Solid. But there's benefits. Like
this is why you have to commit. You just have to succumb to that's just the reality of it and just give in. Because then everything works. You get to have everything work all the time. It's great. Every day my shit just works.
And
you
just
have to spend a lot of money because there's professional stuff that if you learn how to use it, there's professional stuff that costs 10 times as much and it doesn't have problems sometimes.
Sometimes. I mean, but that's the thing is like eventually you find what exactly it's like building a puzzle, but you have to go find the jigsaw pieces yourself. It's like, okay, someone gave you the frame. Now go scavenger hunt the rest of the pieces is what you're doing with, like, for computers as an example. You can okay, I have an operating system. That is just the part that's going to hold all these pieces together. Easy. Now I need to find exactly all of the puzzle pieces necessary to make this thing 100% stable, but also I want the highest quality possible. I don't want a pixelated picture, puzzle piece when I'm done, looking at some shitty grainy 360p picture printed onto puzzle pieces. I want some nice solid looking picture. So it's going to take me time. I got to find all the right pieces. Some of them aren't going to work. I might spend a lot of money on a fucking piece of shit garbage. But
that's what Keith was saying though.
But
you're an expert.
But I am not an expert. I'm a self-taught expert. I'm somebody who
you're still an expert though.
That's just as expert but slower. It's more time consuming to be self-taught.
But here's the thing:
this is even worse.
But self-teaching taught me how to self-teach myself other things. I am knowledgeable in other things because I know how to navigate shitty fucking advice, like those videos telling me what power tools to buy. I don't need to look at those because I know you're a fucking liar and it doesn't matter because I can go and just
like this.
Find people. I know exactly where to look to see legitimate reviews on things and see legitimate criticism on things and then make my decision from there. I bought a
How dare you attack me like this, Andrew?
But that's the thing is like...
How dare you attack me like this?
This is a whole podcast about attacking each other. It's just a battle royale. One of us will get the fucking turkey at the end and do the Fortnite dance. The point is that like...
Turkey!
It's a chicken!
I know they call it chicken, but this isn't Fortnite. I'm not stealing their stuff. I don't want to get sued.
Oh, right.
So
IP, very important.
A turkey is when you get 3 strikes in a row.
No, that's a different sport. We're talking about esports, not bowling sports.
Let's go back to the computers. Let's not get distracted because I wanted to say...
Distracted. I never answered the original question.
I wanted to say that this is not a new development. Like, you're not doing anything wrong, Keith, in approaching it the way you're doing. It's a new development that if you want to get into literally anything, or you need to get...
You have to obsessively learn about stuff for days or weeks just to make one purchasing decision, and then all that knowledge just goes away. It's not helpful immediately. You just throw it away.
That's true. But the thing is, that's a little bit true sometimes.
You just bought the thing. You're not going to go buy another one.
The thing is,
you're done buying that thing. No, forever, maybe.
The stuff you learn has to do with how you use the thing. So unless you just use it once and that's it, it doesn't necessarily go away. But the thing is, like, you're not
learning how to use it. You're learning how to buy one.
But ideally, knowing how to use it is important to choosing the one you want to buy.
Choosing to buy, yeah.
Like a camera, for example. If you don't know what the fuck aperture settings are, then why does it matter what kind of
They don't send you like a wooden sword version of it that you can practice with first. You have to buy one before you can use one.
No, this is why Best Buy exists. You go there and you just fuck up all of their cameras that they have on display. Like
what? What I was trying to say is that it's not like this is a new development. Things used to be very simple. You bought a fridge.
Best Buy while everyone was doing that, so they would just come in and demo all the products, then leave and buy them online.
Yep.
Oh boy, yeah. Like it used to be that you'd bought a fridge, and all you cared about was if how big the fridge was and if it had the right hooks and whatnot. Or maybe if you were really fancy, the fridge had like one of those compressors that don't make noise. But that's it. You don't need to, like new fridges, they have all these, they're just smart fridges. You can do all the, it's just confusing as hell. Obviously, you don't need to buy them. You can still buy the simple stuff. But for anything that's not like literally a broom, there's always a more complicated, more expensive, better version of it. And maybe I'm doing brooms a disservice here.
It's
maybe
made of horsehair.
There's a smart broom out there that can access online and like order its own replacement or whatever. My point is,
Nobody likes that. Nobody is happy about smart products.
Yeah.
Everyone is pissed about their stupid fucking printer requiring you to get an account now just to print things, and then it tries to, and it wants to like try to like trick you into like buying things online, and wants to subscribe to ink despite not knowing how often you need ink. And then it, like, and if at any point it can't connect to the internet correctly, you just don't have a printer, it just doesn't work, and you're like, I just want to fucking use the fucking.
I love the idea that a printer doesn't have internet access. It's like, what are you, a thief? Who doesn't have internet in this modern age? I'm not printing anything for you, criminal scum. Like,
I mean, the number of physical objects that essentially have DRM at this point is just a fucking nightmare.
100%. Yeah. It's totally. It's a sham that it's not.
And
illegal.
they make an industry wide change, so you can't like pick anyone else.
Yeah,
Like,
and they all have their own
horrible
stuff.
obviously, you just need a broader printer.
If you buy the really expensive printers, then it's like the ones that cost 5 times.
Clearly,
as much.
the lesson from this fucking podcast is I need to spend 6 months developing my own printer from scratch. For thousands of dollars, and then I have then it works perfectly.
There's 3D printed printers,
and in the meantime, all of my channels are dead because I'm not working on the actual shit I want to work on because I'm a printer expert now.
But just going back to the eating the money, though, it's kind of perverse. When I say eating the money, is like you bought the nice camera that the person suggested that you buy, or that the person you suggested yourself.
I can make the difference back by getting work done instead of researching cameras.
But the perverse thing is that if you
Yes.
it's like my table. I wanted to do the table on the cheap. I knew that I could contract like a proper carpenter and they would make me the table for like 5 times as much as I thought I was going to spend. But I didn't want to do that. Who's going to spend more than 1,000 euros on a table? So I tried to save some money, and that's I think a lot of the incentive behind learning before you make a purchase is spending as little as you can while getting the best deal for the money, right? But the perverse aspect of this is that you're going to learn, if you're really passionate about any project, or not any project, but any hobby specifically, you're going to buy the base stuff and you're going to be like, oh, I got a really good deal out of this water disperser from our garden or whatever. And you're going to just be doing stuff with that. But because you learn so much about so much technology, brands know what's up. They have a better garden water disperser for you. And you're going to be like, oh, but if I had the XL75 or whatever, maybe I could water two plants at the same time or whatever. Or maybe it plays a song when it's done. It's like it's just
because if you actually do learn about this stuff, they've figured out how to monetize you.
Yes, and that's why you end up with the people who are not professionals getting the fancy tools, and the people who are professionals just having raggedy crap.
Yeah, I mean it is a balance between function over features. You need to know what things you're paying for, right? Like what part of the price tag is because you're getting a feature you don't want versus because you need a thing. Like I've seen like, again, going back to tools because they're the easiest example of this, is that like I've seen tools that offer a lot of adaptability in drill bits, for example. Like, oh, we can support all these different drill bits, and also we have a flashlight. Well, one of those things is a lot less useful than the other. Like, a flashlight is a feature, not a function. You don't need a flashlight on your drill. If you need one that badly, I promise
it's really handy, though.
It is. Oh, it's super handy. But I promise you that if you just duct tape a flashlight to your drill, it will accomplish the exact same outcome. And you know what? Flashlights on Amazon are like $5. So it's probably cheaper than like the $25 they added to that drill's price because they added a flashlight on it. And that's those are the things you got to parse through. That's generally what
it's not even a flashlight. It's like an LED. like a little.
Yeah, I mean, it really is just like a shitty little LED light. But but like that's the value in knowing what it is you're buying, is that you can look at something and know what is and isn't necessary to accomplish the goal that you're trying to achieve. And no one needs to be like a TV is such a good example of no one needs to be an expert about this, because you aren't. Like if someone tells you they know a lot about televisions, they're mostly lying. Like how to test a television, you need to physically have the fucking TV. You can't look at a box and know how a TV works. It just isn't humanly possible. You have to have the television literally in front of you, and you need to run tests that I think are just made for like astronauts to figure out if they can go to space or not, but we just do it with TVs for some reason. And it's ridiculous. All just to make sure that like, yeah, blue actually is blue. Like all this shit just to figure out if a television is even doing its yeah, like exactly, because sometimes it's not blue. Sometimes it's actually two different colors pretending to be blue, and there actually isn't a dedicated blue, and that's fucking abysmal. Because then when you watch football and you see the team with the blue colors, it's not blue colors, it's a different two colors mixed to make a fake blue, and that's unacceptable because that is not how you show your team pride, by having fake blue on the screen.
To make a fake blue.
Televisions are a nightmare, though. Yeah.
And so the more you learn about televisions, the less you fucking care about televisions, because oh my god, it's so awful trying to understand any of these nightmare monstrosities. I just want to see pictures move across the screen and I can clap at them later. Like I don't care if the shit is like, I don't care if you stuffed like 16 geniuses into the screen and made them all work on a wheel to make them pictures move faster. I don't care about that. I care about the fact that it looks good, it works right, and the colors don't look like fucking Bizarro World shit. And so I just basically let someone else do all the hard work for me. I have a review website that I go to, and they show me all of the results. Like they do all these shitty tests for all these televisions, and they give me all the results, and I know the ones that matter most to me, and I look at those results and I go, yeah, no, fuck that one then, and just keep doing that. And I don't need to know all the intricate details. I don't need to know what the difference between millisecond color changes are. I don't need to know how to measure that, or why that matters, or if I would even notice it, because my eyes are not good, and like that doesn't matter to me. But I know it exists, and I know someone else might matter. You know, like someone else is going to test for it and tell me if it's good or not. But
I think it's like you're falling into the same trap.
No, because I know what I want. I know exactly the things that I'm looking for.
No, but if they tell you they have, the slower transient grade to grade response, or this one has better dedicated HDR.
I hated that so much.
But is that necessary though? Is the thing I'm talking about. Is that a feature or is that a function? And that's
you're gonna get less ghosting on high speed.
Am I gonna get less ghosting?
Changes.
Because I actually can't get less ghosting, because what I'm looking for is a monitor.
I feel like I've still never seen any TV ever that's better than a computer monitor.
No, you're right. Yeah.
It's really weird. It's like everyone's spending money on these things. I'm like, I have a computer monitor.
That's
and
because
TVs
do a very
everyone's like, I couldn't
function.
see Game of Thrones. It's so dark. I'm like, I watched it on my computer monitor. It was perfect.
That's again,
especially gaming monitors. They bring up the dark level. So
the number of times that people were like, I can't see any of my the number of times I upload like Let's Plays that people claim is a black screen, and I'm like, I can see all of it. I don't understand. What are you watching this on? Like phones. You cannot trust phones or TVs.
But
like when you can like
trust
all the
phones,
shit about like
usually phones are usually pretty good.
No. Yes. Speaking as somebody who has a character with dark fur, he is a fucking black rectangle sometimes on phones. Like
that is
phones
correct.
Are
yes.
fucked on contrast.
Then you need some better phone screens.
Some monitors.
That's what phones are now. They're all this fucked up high HDR bullshit. They look like fucking Stranger of Paradise. Remember, Colonel? Like whole parts of Stranger of Paradise were like almost black. Like even though we're playing on a computer screen, you're like, what the fuck? Like I can't. I'm just gonna get through this hallway because it doesn't really matter. But like everything's just like a dark purple. Like it's just gone. A shitty filters on the screen.
Some monitors are like that as well. I recall. We had this one client that that complained that the website looked bad on the background, and we asked for a screenshot. Can you show us what you're seeing? And they sent us the screenshot, and I was just looking at it, and it's this. Yeah, it's what I'm seeing. background looks good. Maybe the client doesn't like the background.
Yeah, because a screenshot is a very deceptive way of showing what somebody's seeing because you're just showing what the computer. You're showing what the computer. You're showing the true reality of the website that no one technically sees.
Yeah.
And well, it's what the computer is trying.
It's what the computer is trying to show, but the monitor may show something different if you have your monitor set up wrong, right? And so my boss came up with the maybe he knew the client or whatever. He came up with the idea maybe the screen is badly calibrated, and this was over the phone. And he asked the client, "Can you reset your computer screen so we can maybe that's He explained the whole thing, and he reset the computer. We made sure that was what happening. And nope, still looked bad. So it was like, okay, well, whatever. The client there's something wrong. Let's do a meet up. Let's meet up at the client's place and see what's up. And I went as well. Turns out there was a series of HP. We didn't know that at the time, but there was an HP monitor that one of the settings in a monitor can be or is the saturation thing. So you can just make the colors more saturated or less saturated. So if it's at 100, which is the default value, it basically clips the high and the low color values, both of gray and other colors. It just means that some images, if they're very nuanced, they just don't look good at all. If they're computer generated images. For pictures, it works totally fine. But if it's for computer generated images, it doesn't work. So basically, the 100% was too saturated. Or not 100 because it could go above 100, but so basically we had to just put it at 99 instead of 100, and everything worked fine. And we figured that out at the time, and it wasn't a nightmare because it took forever for us to do that, and we had to go to the client's place and whatnot. But later on, like a year or so after that, my boss bought a new screen for his work computer, and it was an HP of the same series. He had forgotten totally about that whole debacle because he has other things to think about. And he himself asked me, "Hey, this website looks bad." And I'm just like, dude, you're spending your entire day looking at websites that look bad. Why do you pick on the hours? You have to figure things out that things look bad all around, not just in our website. And I went there and, it's just, even monitors can be bad. You're saying that monitors look good, but if you go for cheap stuff, you can get some lemons.
Yeah, no, I always buy. I've bought AOC monitors for the last few.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
And I mean, you do have to be a little bit nicer here. My
frustration is they very slightly don't match.
That's totally fine.
Because I never upgrade my monitors at the same time. I'm always replacing the one that's going out. I'm like, I really it's a stupid expense. There's no reason to do it. But I always a little bit want to buy both new monitors at the same time just because then they'd match perfectly.
They wouldn't, though. They wouldn't. Even monitors of the same... It's different. No. They need to be calibrated.
Yeah, and the thing with the calibration is...
I cannot get them to match. I've tried.
No, it's very difficult. You need machine.
Something about their contrast will never be exactly right. So if the same thing is on both screens, you can see the difference.
A lot of screens are impossible to calibrate just using the on-screen controls.
Yeah.
Unless they're really advanced ones that give you access to gamma curves and whatnot. It's basically a fool's errand. You need to do software.
See, Keith, you would know this if you spent more time dedicated to learning how monitors worked. You could be a master at calibrating the contrast.
Expert. I have 3 monitors. They all look different. And 2 of them are the same brand and same model. But they look different. And I don't care.
Womp womp.
It's fine, though. As long as they look good individually, you're good. It's fine. I use them differently. I know one of them looks a little bit darker than the other. I was like, okay, let's edit this image over here, and then let's move it over there, see if it's still good. It's good. We're good. We're golden.
There's a lot of there are some pretty good consistency tests you can get that will, but they're mostly for color. Color is the easiest one to get.
Yeah.
Trying to get other stuff like brightness is always a big deal. It's just the annoyance of obviously it's just a limitation of technology. You can't make the exact same thing every time. There will always be minor differences that fuck it all up, especially a monitor. Like, what kind of monitor did you get? Did you get what's it called? Do you have one that has HDR in it? Because those are different types of pixels than ones without HDR. Like it's annoying. But ideally, when you buy something, you should be knowledgeable enough to know whether or not you're buying something at a reasonable cost. Like you should be able to know when you're spending money if the money you're spending is relative to the value of what you're buying. Like if you're going to spend like $400 on a camera, ideally you should be getting $400 worth of quality out of that camera. And someone like if you can find a camera that has less features on it, but it still looks as good, then are you really getting $400 quality out of that camera? Is the way that I just approach stuff like TVs or even video game consoles. Just stuff like that is, I don't know. I think there is a limit to what obviously people should be expected to have to know about stuff, but also it is we're like, I would say technology is like what food used to be. Before we had like proper regulation on how to gauge quality of food. Like it's really hard for people to understand what a quality product, like what a quality piece of technological product is. When you look at a phone, for example, it is 90% word soup to people. When you see shit like, oh, it's got an IPS display with 400 megapixel camera and 16,000 gigabits of memory, and someone's like, I think I know like one of those things. I think I know what the gigabit thing is. It's like how much pictures I can hold on it, right? I don't know what 16,000 means. Is that a lot? How many pictures can I put on that thing? Like there becomes a limit. I'm
so mad that I made it all the way home before I even realized that my new phone didn't have a headphone jack. I'm like,
oh,
no.
Well,
that sucks.
That's the way of the world now.
Time to buy $100 wireless rechargeable headphones that go inside my ear, but also go inside a recharging thing. And this isn't gross and weird. And also, I can lose them.
Yeah, it's great.
Buy the $25 ones. They sound just the same. Terrible.
I just love that this became a mandatory like change. Everyone's like, what if we got rid of like wired things forever? They're just gone now.
And I mean,
there's still some with wire with a thing.
Yeah, they're not very good quality though. You're
phones?
usually making concessions when you get phones, because like a headphone jack is, I don't know. Usually, if you get something with a headphone jack, it may not have something else in return you want. Is like a weird trade-off they always do.
Oh yeah. Well, but that's if you're really deep into phones.
True. I mean, my sticking point is always SD cards. Like, I will never buy a phone that doesn't have external SD card access, because like
I thought that.
I'm not gonna ever buy a phone
you thought
that has
until you didn't.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't take pictures. Like, what do I need the SD card for? I know it's like, in theory, it's nice to have extensible memory, but what do I do? I have a 250.
It would be nice to have extensive memory until I tried having it on my last phone, and its like operating system didn't seem to actually support the concept. So if you put if you moved photos to the other one, all they did was just become their file names with no thumbnails and no way of looking through them easily without manually opening every single one in a weird, slow, shitty way. And I always had to remember how to even find my other storage space to begin with. And it's like, okay, well, this was pointless. And then all of my apps would just like ignore the additional storage space. And I'm like, can you...
Yeah, you can run apps from...
I'm like, why am I always getting fucking low storage space warnings if you just put them on the other thing? Why aren't my podcasts all on my fucking SD card? Why do phones not work this way?
I guess I just don't need memory on my phone.
See,
phones also just like, they make it so fucking hard to find any setting for anything that you like.
Really?
Well, yeah.
You can search.
Yes.
Did you get an iPhone?
One of the biggest ones is that my new Android phone, what is it?
You can just...
Was it my old phone used to have... you could toggle auto rotation by just dragging down the slide menu. You know what I mean? The easy access quick menu thing that's on the top of the screen. You just drag that. You just drag that down, and there'd be a toggle for auto rotate. Oh wait, there it is.
Did you not, Keith? It's just a different icon. Come on.
Oh, I just found it's on page 2.
Yeah,
Let's
it's
see.
2 pages.
You
So
can edit.
Was it something else I was
at the end?
I was getting, there was something I was frustrated that I couldn't fucking find that used to be there, but now I'm not remembering what it is. Because I've had this phone for months now, so I'm losing the memory of what I can't find.
And
It
if you
doesn't
say
matter.
what phone you have, people will buy it because they do.
Because I'm an influencer. No, everyone will tell me I bought the wrong phone because of these reasons. How did you not know about the phone discourse? And I'm like, I don't fucking. I just needed
the
a
good thing
phone.
about phones is that there's no right option.
My last
There
phone
definitely is
fucking
a right
ran
option.
Pokemon Go at 5 frames per second, and I had it for like 6 years. It was time to have another phone.
Oh no, that is the right option, Keith. You did the right option. Is the Pokemon 5 frames per second Go
Oh, no.
for 6 years? That is
I've
the
ruined
correct
it.
option.
I mean, I do hold on to things forever.
Yeah,
Just
much better
in
than
eternity.
anything else. Phones are such a drain on everything.
Like, here is my
I mean, that lets
amazing.
people on YouTube and Facebook.
Here was my amazing fucking process for setting up my hardware and a lot of my stuff. So I set up my equalizer chain and stuff like that in Vegas by just watching a video of Barry editing a Game Grumps video,
Nice.
and I just like yoink, and
He's a
then
good
my
editor.
my microphone is the one that the Game Grumps use. I got the colored light set that I used in the Beastars video by just watching a behind the scenes H Bomber Guy video, and then I was like, those look neat, and I ordered them.
Are they very
And the-
expensive?
Yes,
If you don't mind me asking.
and then I got
Yeah.
and then I got my camera by just asking Zoe B what she uses. I'm like, her videos look fine, and like that I just bought that camera. I'm like, cool, now my videos look fine. The end. Moving on, back to working all day. I'm not.
I tried to get
Those lights,
RGB lights.
yes, those lights are expensive, but I tried being like, I'll put a color filter over my box light and stuff. Like, it doesn't fucking, it will not, does
It
not
doesn't.
matter. It just comes
It
out
needs
as
so
white
much
light
power.
anyway. It's just-
Oh, you got the thin filters. Oh, those are for cameras, though.
No, I just got like colored plastic.
Yeah, you need like
And I'm like,
it's-
this does not
yeah.
change the color of the light.
You
And I'm
need
like-
really, really opaque filters and powerful lights to make that
Just
happen.
buy a thing, and then it's a tax write-off, and that effectively lowers my reported income, and then I qualify as somebody who made less money.
There is a
Fair enough.
there's like I
That's where my
I can-
that's how I treat buying like an index. Like that's
Fair
how my
enough.
job works. I'm like, it's $1,000, but it counts as me basically having made $1,000 less dollars. So
Mm-hmm.
there is this I would say this is just a common issue of accessibility of because you can like back in the day buying those lights would be like a problem. Like you couldn't just buy those lights, right? If you
They
bought
didn't
them,
even exist.
well, the lights existed. I'm just saying, like when lights like that existed, you would normally you would
Oh,
need to be a
right.
professional to be buying them. Like you're not
yeah,
just
that
going to
exists
buy these lights.
exclusively within the industry, and there would be
Yeah.
no like public storefront you could order from.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And so
I
you
tried
would get
getting into it.
this-
Oh,
No, go ahead.
I was just saying. No, you finish your thought.
I just it's just because everything is so accessible now for anybody, regardless of their level of knowledge or skill. It means that you're like there's almost a rampant decline in quality in products because the average person buying them doesn't know what they're doing or buying. Then it means that obviously you just buy the cheapest or whatever the thing is that like first shows up on Amazon or whatever. And it means that you don't necessarily have to deliver these like high octane quality products anymore. And you can have those. They're just like nestled in a corner. They cost like, a little bit more than they absolutely should because they're basically only used by professionals now. And all professionals have ways to write them off or, justify the purchase. But then like you have this like stream of just shit quality products. And now, of course, well, one, because most marketplaces, again, like back in the day, don't have to be truthful about what's on the product. Like they don't have to tell you how many lumens a thing has and be honest about it. They can just say it
it's
has like
so shitty.
yeah, they can just say like this has like 50,000 lumens. You're like, I don't know, that's a lot of lumens. It's more than this guy. He says he's only got 300 lumens.
I've never seen a lumen,
And
I don't even
yeah,
know her.
Exactly. I don't know what lumens are, but I know big number equal big good. Unless it's a price, then big number equal bad good. And And so then,
I like that.
and so you obviously like it becomes this nightmare, and everything's like this: televisions, monitors, lights, like all these products that they're not. And like a monitor, you wouldn't consider something a professional uses, but a monitor is by itself a very complicated piece of technology, or a TV, or even like your mouse is a very complicated piece of technology, and it is important to know how it works to enough of a degree where you can snuff that bad scammy stuff out. You can look and say like, oh, okay, cool,
Yeah,
there's a
that's a good
$15 wireless mouse, but I see that your dumbass is using Bluetooth version 4 and we're already on 6, so don't try to fucking scam me here. I'm not gonna buy that. I don't want your shitty low quality Bluetooth mouse. I would much rather pay $5 extra and just get this one that doesn't look really cool but does have Bluetooth 6, and that's great. I love that. Just like, and you don't need to know intricacies, you know, you don't need to know the millisecond rate or whatever, like the distance between the laser and the desk and how fast it can shoot. And so you can definitely do that esports thing that you saw some guy on Twitch do like 40 times in a row because he has this one Logitech mouse, and that's clearly what's helping him win. It's not anything else. It's the fucking mouse. I have to buy that mouse, God damn it. So like you don't need to do that. You don't need to know that kind of mundane stuff, but you do need to know enough to say like, yeah, well, a mouse, like looking at the weight of a mouse, and you go like, well, that mouse weighs like 0.5 ounces. I don't think
What is an
good.
ounce?
Exactly. It's a measure. It's a form of measurement.
That sounds foreign
or like
to me.
yeah. Anyways, the point is like if you see a mouse weighs too little, you go like even like a good even a shit quality mouse should weigh a little bit more than that. That means there's literally nothing in that mouse except for like a breadboard, and that's it. Like I don't
get
that.
why you have to have ounces. What, you have pounds already? What's wrong with a pound? Just use a pound.
What are you talking about? We have like 100 forms of measurement, and none of them are good.
Stop it.
Everyone keeps
Just
telling
stick
us
to
that our
one of
measurements are
them.
bad, and so we're just keep making new ones, and everybody goes like, no, that one's bad too. And then we're like, okay, well, I guess we're just going to keep going until you admit that we're not going to use metric, but we're definitely not going to make a good measuring system. So just deal with it.
And then you don't even write them out. It's just like little apostrophes, and I'm like,
16
is that an
ounces
inch
per
or is that a
pound.
feet or foot? It's like
16 ounces
just had to
per
look that-
pound?
Is it?
Did I misread that?
Oh, that's tiny.
Yeah, 16
Yeah,
ounces
fine.
per pound. I just had to look that up because I don't know.
I don't know. I certainly do not.
I never
tried
use
to
ounces except for maybe like measuring food ingredients.
Oh yeah, that would do
And I
it.
just kind of don't question it. I just like there's a
It's the
gotta
number.
deal with food ingredients.
Those are the two
But even
things
then,
I
it's
have.
usually it's like usually food ingredients are cups or
Yeah.
tablespoons
Or
whatever.
fluid ounces. You would use fluid ounces for
Oh,
cooking
because of
usually.
course you have a different. It's like nautical miles and all over.
Well-
again. Freaking hell! Just stick to metric.
Fluid's different. Fluid doesn't weigh the same as regular properties, like regular physical solid
it does.
properties.
Of course it does.
No, it
That's- you know,
doesn't.
Weight is not. You're thinking volume. Volume is different. Like a liter of beans, which fun fact is where liter first was used. A liter of beans is not the same as like a liter of water. The weight is the same.
No.
You mash the beans, they weigh the same.
Well, yeah. So fluid ounces are just a unit of volume.
Oh, wait. Why are they not? Shit. Holy fuck. Why?
Because no one's gonna tell you no, so you can do it.
Holy shit.
This has been a debate before because like I'll use
Fine.
like the measuring cup for like I'll use the measuring cup for solids instead of liquids or whatever. It's like, you're using the wrong one. I'm like, this is absurd. Why would they both be called? Why would there be a difference between fluid and solid ounces? It's
Fine.
supposed to
You know
be a
what,
unit
guys?
Of weight.
I'll
I hate it so
compromise. I'll compromise here. Let's just all use the Troy ounce instead. Much easier to use that.
That's not a thing.
The Troy ounce is
it?
necessary for measuring currency. Or, well, not
That sounds like
currency
somebody's
specifically,
name.
but it's mostly used to gauge the mass of precious metals. because obviously metals are very unique and very special, and they earn their own type of weight system.
You should,
or based on what
right.
Google says, there are fewer troy ounces in a troy ounce than there are dry ounces in a dry pound, which is a sentence that I have no idea what it meant. I don't know what it was trying to say to me, and I never will. But that's okay.
I think there's only one dry ounce in a dry ounce. Did you misspeak or did I mishear?
Nope. there are fewer pounds. There are fewer troy ounces in a troy ounce than there are dry ounces in a dry pound.
Yeah, there's only one troy ounce in one troy ounce.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Of course.
No.
It's saying
No,
there's
there
fewer
are
of me
troy ounces
than there are
in a
of...
troy ounce.
There's only one troy ounce in a troy ounce.
Look,
It's like we're talking about
It's not that I
pastries.
don't follow this conversation. It's that I refuse to follow this conversation.
Measurements are all bad universally.
Look.
There is no such thing as good measurements because we have way too many of them, and it's not just like a imperial or metric
You
thing.
have
It's like,
them.
why are we measuring fucking everything? I'm tired of it. I'm tired of
I
measuring
know.
it all. We got grains
Look,
and miles and
all I
yards
know-
and feet and grams and carats and pints and barrels and quarts and
Stones.
imperial units and tones and troy ounces and gallons and
Stones.
why?
Look, all I know is I bought.
Just go
I
heavy
looked at
or
the
light.
prices.
That heavy, that light. I'm done. Moving on with my life. I don't need that.
I looked at the prices of the RGB lights, and I thought it was too expensive. And I thought to myself, let's buy the cheap ones, and instead of just using one, I use a bunch. But I had at least an inch of smarts, and instead of ordering like a bunch of RGB small lights, I ordered a single one for 25 euros. And that thing is like, a candle is more light than that. That is the worst thing. It's like a lightsaber, but bad. It's the worst. And it has like a controller, and it's the worst thing. For 25 euros down the drain. And I hate it.
Lightsaber, but bad.
That's a really good form
terrible.
of measurement. I like the idea that we weigh things based on other things. This is a lot heavier than a mouse. So I'm just like, I don't know what that means. That could be a lot
mouse?
of things.
Oh,
I was
a
going to
mouse is not
say,
a
if
unit.
you get to England, they start talking about stone.
Yeah, there's stone.
Look,
I've heard
stone.
of
People
I-
in England will be so fucking uppity about the metric system, and then they'll fucking come out with stone as if that's reasonable.
Stone is
There's the nautical stone.
The
nautical stone. That's stones don't swim. That doesn't make any
Yes.
sense. Why would you?
Well,
how would you
it's-
weigh anything by what? If it
it's
sinks,
heavier.
it's a nautical stone. If it floats, it's a
It's
negative
heavier.
nautical stone. What is?
Yeah,
what
a
is
stone
like,
is 25 kilos, and a nautical stone is 25.3 kilos.
How much
'cause
does a
the weight of the
balloon
water.
weigh in nautical stones?
It depends if it's filled or not.
How much does a balloon weigh?
Oh, that's a
in-
cool question. Although it isn't cool for this podcast, but I'll leave it for the folks at home to decide. How much does a helium-filled balloon weigh? More or less than 0 kilograms? That's my question to you. Continuing with the regular programming, then. Andrew, complain
Sounds
about.
like a Hank Green vine.
I know the answer to that, but it's a nice answer. I like it. But we're not going to do it in this podcast because we have
Oh, you don't want the
questions
answer?
to answer.
Okay.
This is homework for
Oh,
next
well, I know
week.
the answer. The answer. Well, I'm not going to spoil it for folks
We
at
should
home.
just
Next week,
pose really frustrating comments every week, several times an episode, and then that's just the comment section just fucking lighting up. That's how you get them.
I'll repeat the question though. So if you're like on your workout and you can't go back easily, you should buy one of those smartwatches that allows you to go back easily. So the question is: a helium-filled balloon is heavier or lighter than 0 kilograms?
Bill Nye,
What's
the
up?
science guy. Bill. Why'd you have to
Hi,
specify
Vsauce. Tiago
kilograms? Why'd you specify
Well-
kilograms?
Well, you
'Cause
can't just
that's
say
the-
weight. What weight?
That's
It's like-
no. You need to. No.
Well,
I'm saying weight.
He's saying it weighs less than nothing.
I'm
But he had
saying
to
weight.
but he had to specify kilograms as if we disagree on what 0 is.
No. But I said kilo. I should have probably just said grams. What is the internationally accepted measure of weight? It is grams. No, wait. Freaking hell, it is not. Is it?
No,
Wait.
it is not.
Is it newtons? It's newtons. I'm terrible. Either way, sound down in the comments and make the algorithm spin.
if it does that anymore.
Make
I don't
the
know.
algorithm spin.
It's like a machine. It's got to do
Look at
that,
it
right?
go.
Yeah,
I think
it goes the algorithm.
What is the most uninformed purchase you've ever made?
Oh, that's easy.
It is?
Oh yeah, my house.
Yikes, that's a pretty scary amount of money for an uninformed purchase.
I know, right?
I just feel like when you buy a house, you inevitably have like a terrifying amount of things you couldn't have even known to ask about.
Like, I hadn't even opened the kitchen drawers. And there's many other things that I didn't open, but the kitchen drawers, I didn't open them.
Did you find out they're fake? Are they just walls?
No, that was all right. It's a house. There's like a huge burn mark in one. There's a huge burn mark in one of the wood things, and I don't know how they made that, but it might have been a candle or something.
I like the idea that there are things about a house when you buy it that you have to ask or no one would tell you. Like,
yes.
Oh, 100%.
You have to know to ask. So good luck.
yeah. I just like the idea that there's like someone comes into the house and looks and goes like, nah, I don't know, man. I don't trust this house. It's definitely got boogaloo. And you're like, what is the fuck is boogaloo?
Yeah.
It's like, you should ask if they have boogaloo in the house. And you're like, does this house have boogaloo? It's like, how the fuck? Who told you about asking about that? Yeah, it has boogaloo. That doesn't matter, does it? And you're like, what the fuck? What is this? Why are you so angry?
anti-boogaloo?
Yeah, it's like, what's going on
2020.
here? Like, it's just like there's something
God.
about, there's always something in a house you can ask and it'll upset somebody. But like, how do you know about that?
boogaloo
And yeah, it
police?
does have that. And I'm not going to give you any less for the house because it has that. And you're like, what the fuck? What did I just ask about? What is this? Like,
In my defense, it's only a 12-year-old house, so it doesn't have asbestos or molds or
thank
doesn't
God.
have a basement.
as you
And it's
know,
like
you
a
didn't check.
semi-detached.
Yeah, did you ask?
It's a
Did you ask
semi-detached.
about asbestos?
No,
Then it's got asbestos somewhere in that house.
It's gotta be some, yeah. And it's like a detached home, so I'm like, well, if the neighbors are still there, well, the house is probably not gonna fall. It's gonna be fine.
Neighbors are still there.
And yeah, it's just
Have you seen the
I
neighbors?
definitely-
Have you knocked on the door of the neighbors and asked
I
if
did.
they're
Real?
still alive?
Or are they
There was
cardboard cutouts behind windows?
that was the first thing I
Just
asked.
kind of going back and forth on a track.
This is not Tonton. I that was the first thing. Like I agreed to go, see the house, and I think it was like 3:30 p.m. and it was 2:30, and I arrived at the neighborhood, had a little walk, and kept an eye out for the neighbors, and saw a lady that is going to be my neighbor now. And I asked her, "Hey, I'm looking to buy a house here, one of those houses, because there's two of them that were on sale at the time. One of those houses over there. Is the neighborhood nice?" I asked, and are the houses very loud, or can you hear the neighbors through the walls and stuff like that? And this lady was very nice, very unhelpful as well, but still, asking around for if you're gonna buy a house, and check your neighbors. Well, unless you live in America, in which case you have like a 5 million distance from you to anywhere else. So
it's not going to matter anyways, because if you listen to one neighbor, it's not going to give you any insight into anything. It's just you're
That's
just
true,
going to be
but
more
it's-
concerned about your neighborhood, because it's going to be like, yeah, everything's great. We have a Pollock every weekend. I know Bill and Sandy and Tom and Jeffrey. They're all great neighbors. I mean, we don't talk to Sam, but
one
Bill
talks to
and
Sam,
Sam's
don't
like,
talk to
yeah,
Sam.
you're like, well, what's wrong with Sam? It's like, no, I can't talk to you about Sam. I'm sorry. If I talk to you about Sam,
We don't
then I
talk
might get in
about Sam
trouble.
either.
Yeah, we don't talk about him. We don't talk to him. Just leave Sam alone. It's like, well, he's my next door neighbor. Maybe I should know about Sam. It's like, don't stop talking about Sam. I don't want to talk. And you're like, okay,
you're not gonna
like
do
that
well
is
in
like-
this neighborhood, Mister.
that is literally every
Talking
American
about Sam
neighbor,
like that.
That is literally every American suburb. There's always like, oh, I know like 6 people and we're all great, but there's one house on this street that we don't fucking talk about or look at or even acknowledge exists because I fucking hate them. And you're like, why? Why is it like this? I don't get it. What did they do to you?
They vote for the other party.
Probably. I don't know.
Their football club is weird.
I think my favorite thing about buying homes in America, at least suburban homes, is that usually in a neighborhood, all the homes are the same layout. So the first thing in my head is that, well, if something goes terribly wrong and I need to break into your house to survive, I can navigate it because it's the exact same house as my house. You've made a terrible mistake in doing that, you idiot. And so it's like, that's always my...
Navigating the house is not a huge, difficult thing when you're breaking into somebody's house.
It is important. Have you played Fallout? It is so fucking annoying when every house is a different layout. I hate that. It's easy when it's the same layout because you go like, I know
Fallout
exactly.
3?
Or every Fallout. It doesn't matter. Fallout New Vegas.
No, Fallout 1 is fine because you see an isometric.
Oh, that's true. It's true. But but yeah, like it's really great when you know exactly the layout of a house. Or if you go over and meet somebody for the first time, you don't have to ask where their bathroom is. You know where the bathroom is. It's your house, but just painted different and has different shit in it. But it's the same house.
And then you open the door and you say, "Oh, you have a toilet here instead of a bidet," or vice versa.
That is true. I would be disappointed by the state of an American bathroom, but it still doesn't matter. I still know where it is, and that's half the battle. That's crazy though.
I'm in that situation though.
Did you have someone go by and check the house before you bought it? Like you had a contractor or a inspector?
No.
Go through?
It was just
no.
Just
what?
Nothing. Yeah, super uninformed. I told you.
Wait. You really didn't have an inspector or anybody go through and check, like make sure electricity's
None
fine,
whatsoever.
that someone didn't like poop down the water drain, like nothing?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Poop down the water drain.
The market is a nightmare as well. Like I've been looking for a house since January, and I saw the prices go up by 10, 12, 15% since January, and not to mention the loan. What's the tax rate? Like not tax rate, like loan price thing. It's also going up.
Interest rate.
That's the one. Thank you. Yeah. Like I signed the papers, the finalized deal on the 29th last month, and it was a Friday. If I had waited for Monday, my for the first 6 months anyway, my bank bill would cost me 7% more, just on a 2 days difference.
Yep. It's
what a reasonable market.
It's a good time, just because you get to watch pretty soon here. You're gonna get to watch all these people who spent a lot of money on homes watch the value of those homes terribly tumble down, and they're gonna be stuck paying these insane prices for mortgages that I'm not gonna have to deal with because I'll just show up and buy a house for the cheap, and then it's here you go.
I hope it happens.
Oh, it's gonna happen. I'm sitting here watching it go badly every day.
I don't have any hopes that it does. I'm hopeless.
But it's fine. It's
you get ready to move again.
Maybe. It depends. I've got to figure out. I got to figure out exactly how spiteful I want to be. I can move. Obviously my options are I can stay here in the good old state of California and keep enjoying the apocalyptic weather that I am so accustomed to living with. Just heat 98% of the year. Or I could move just a teensy bit up north, but I would have to sacrifice California-ishness. I don't know how to describe it. I have to sacrifice the part that makes living in California somewhat tolerable for a smaller town. And smaller towns are fine, but two things. One, the statistical chance of dying goes up dramatically the smaller your town is, which is kind of unfortunate. But two,
in the super small towns, everybody's just dead. You buy a house, it's kill over.
I mean, it's usually just because, no one's going to really do much to deal with whatever problems happen there. It's more of they're gone now. Let's keep moving on. No one's going to do anything about that problem.
What are you talking about? Fires?
No. Usually gun violence.
In the water?
Gun violence goes up a lot more the smaller your town is. Usually, or violent crime in general, just because a lot of smaller towns are really great receptacles for people out of prison. They just kind of dump them there because, hey, fuck them. And so that means that they end up just kind of not having anything to do or go, or because small towns don't have economies, so they can't get a job, they can't rent a place because there's nothing for them to fucking do there, and so all that's left is crime. or I guess you could be homeless, but being homeless in the United States is a crime, so they're still technically criminals no matter what they do.
So it's crime. Yeah.
So crime is really their only option. But also there's just a lot of like less hinged people in smaller towns because they tend to be further apart from each other. So there's like a lot of shady stuff going on, like drugs, mostly drugs. But yeah, we were looking at some places, and you can look up like statistics, and they'll show you about like how what the crime rates are. A lot of small towns, and I don't know why this is, though I'm inclined to believe it's because it's a small town. But a lot of small towns have really high levels of violence against women in them. It's a weird statistic that you can just
You don't know why it
find
is.
out there. I can't imagine why, because honestly, how many of you losers are going outside in a small town? There's nothing to do out there. Stay inside your home. Why are you
violence
even
against
going
women
out?
tends to happen inside the house.
I was gonna say.
I didn't think any of these people were married. I thought it was just a commune type deal where they're all just like single guys living in the woods.
You can be married in a commune.
I think most violence is occurring between people that know each other.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, and then second problem, small towns means people fucking know you. And I don't want to be known by people. So why would I want to live in a town where people know me? And then, as you just said, Keith, they're probably going to hurt me. Like,
yeah, I looked up literally at a random graphic of 2009 or whatever, but this random image that I'm just going to put all my trust in fucking lists Shasta County as one of the highest crime counties in California. Yeah. And no one lives in Shasta County.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm talking
They're
about.
all dead.
That's what I'm saying. It's like we keep looking up places like, oh, that'd be a nice place to live, and then we look and my partner's like, I don't know, they have like a really high rate of violence against women. Like, well, that sounds like a problem for half of us.
Los Angeles and the county I live in and the county I grew up in are all just the exact same shade of whatever orange, exact middle of the road.
Yep.
But fucking Shasta is a nightmare. And Alpine, get out of there. Alpine's a nightmare.
Look up more
like Tahoe
north.
is apparently Fargo.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Is it Carson City? Is Carson City the one that's by? I'm trying to think. Sorry, Colonel. I know this is all really riveting information for you. I think Carson City's up north.
I do not know any of these places.
No, that's down south. What was I thinking about? I was thinking of crap. Which one is it? Where the hell?
If there are
Crescent
towns
City.
in Fallout 1 and 2, then I know them, but otherwise
these are too close to the coast to be in Fallout.
No, Fallout 2 has coasts. And Fallout 1 as well, I think.
I don't think northern coast though, right? I don't think Fallout went up north in California.
No, it's south.
Yeah.
Fallout 2 is like San Francisco.
That's where all the desert is.
Yeah.
No one
Fallout
wants
1 is
trees
Las
in their
Vegas and
Fallout.
up. It goes up to Fallout 1 goes up to what is Shady Sands? I forget. But it's like a famous town.
Yeah, I wouldn't remember.
Oh,
I just know
this data is bad for racists.
Racist?
Bad for
Just
racists?
looking at like
what does that mean?
Was it Shasta, San Joaquin, and Alameda are three of the highest crime counties, and they have three of the highest. They do not have like any kind of spike of non-white populations. Shasta is very extremely white in particular.
Wonder why that is.
Sounds like you should come to Portugal. We have cakes and don't have guns.
Meanwhile, the least white population in the entire state appears to be San Benito, and
that makes sense.
It does not have any kind of spike of crime rate. It blends in with all the orange. Actually, no. Imperial is even less white, and it's the bottom of the crime rates. It's pure.
So okay. So
what is it called? Benito?
Here,
that's blessed.
San Benito.
That means blessed. San Benito. Oh, that's different. That's a person's name then. Benito is not actually just blessed. It means something.
Yeah, most of the
different.
stuff here is named after people, except for San Francisco.
We have a lot of San.
Vacaville.
Vacaville is named after somebody. Saint Vacaville. No,
is it?
I don't know.
No, it is not. Vacaville is the village. Vacaville is where the cows are.
It used to be. We got rid of that a while ago.
Basically just means cow town. There are not cows there. Not really.
Oh,
It's just
actually, it
strip
is
malls
named
now.
after somebody.
Oh, is it? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, the
Interesting.
first
Johnny
one of the first
Vacaville.
close. His name is Juan Vacaville or Vaca. His name is Juan Vaca.
I'm way
there you
closer
go.
than I thought I was going to be.
Yeah. The
His
yeah,
name
it's
was
named-
John Cow.
John Cow.
John
Actually,
Cow.
Cowhead. His name is Juan Manuel Cabeza Vaca, which means cowhead. It's John.
His name was just Cow.
It's Cowhead. It's
But
Cow is a
anyways,
normal surname.
Obviously,
what a
a
fucking mess.
name to name your town. Cowhead.
We have cow in Portuguese, although people say it's more bull than cow, but still.
Do you
Actually,
know how much?
we also have.
Do you know how much it
Yeah,
costs
go
to
ahead.
make that town?
I don't even know what it looks like, let alone what it costs. Let me look.
I don't know. Imagine like a kind of an unfortunately mostly hilly town surrounded. It's like imagine like a wall of hills surround you, and there's some flat land, but it's mostly like below sea level flat land, so it's kind of poopy like land to build on. But someone will make it work. It's fine.
There's buildings, and then there's downtown Vacaville, Fiesta Days, Memorial Day weekend.
This is
There's four.
This feels weird. What is this
what a
conversation?
Sorry, Vacavillians. We
I never thought I'd hear
Vacavileños.
Colonel say Fiesta Days.
yeah, right.
It said
what a weird.
that.
Just hearing that out loud is a weird thing to hear. Just like
Wait, is it
Just
a thing?
unbidden. Just this dude in Portugal is just like, I'm just going to talk about your childhood town now. Let's look up, let's look up the local events. Fiesta Days. Do you feel targeted yet?
Fiesta Days is just like, so we have this really unfortunately kind of half shitty park that's mostly on a hill. And what we do is we get all of the people who own food trucks in like the county to come by and park in the park. And then people can go by and buy food from them if they want, I guess. But most importantly, there's a concert hall thing usually, and someone's playing music. I don't know who it is, and I don't know where they come from, but they are playing music there. And downtown Vacaville is mostly just bars, restaurants, and bar restaurants. And so
One-way roads.
and one-way roads. And so you can just go down there and just eat food and drink beer, and go to the park and eat food and drink beer, and then like go look at some modern art that's sometimes in the park, but usually it's just like this really ugly piece of metal that's bended weird. And then you could also go jump into the stream that's down below that doesn't really exist anymore because it's been too hot. Or you can go look at a
I was
post
going to
office.
say, are you talking about the dinosaur park?
No, I'm talking. What? Yeah.
It was a
Dinosaur Park.
dragon,
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
it?
It's a dragon.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
that's
a big stone dragon in a park on top of a hill.
Oh, I see
And
the
there's just
picture.
and then there's just a big
What's that park
grassy
called,
hill.
Colonel?
where everyone has
I
to
don't
sit
know.
down to watch fireworks.
Go look at its name. What does it say?
It's images.
What is the name of
It's
that park,
images.
Colonel?
I don't know. Visit Vacaville.com.
No.
That's
What?
the website. I
Are
don't
you
know.
on
I'm
map?
on,
Are you
on like. Now I'm just on
Well-
images, looking at Vacaville, California.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Well, that park is named Andrews Park. So
I remember
Oh.
now.
that
Let
is
me
my
see if
park.
it's referenced here. It
Yeah,
is.
You got
The
it.
creek walk at Andrews Park. Walk across the
Exactly.
bridge on the corner of Davis and Main, and you'll find yourself
Got
in
him.
Andrews Park.
Wow, this dragon's way small. This dragon's so much smaller than I remember. I have not been there
Because
since.
It is
you
very
were a
small.
kid. Like,
Yeah.
There's a little kid on top of the dragon. That is, yes. It's probably
It's not a big dragon.
So let's see. Well, let me look it up here. Let's look up Vacaville here on my favorite website now. To
It's just
visit
noteworthy
lately.
because it's one of those big wooden parks that has like a whole like castle to run around in.
Yeah, it's a pretty good park actually.
If it's still there.
So for comparison, we were looking at places to live. One of the places we were looking to live is Crescent City because it has a lot of work opportunities for my partner. I can move anywhere in the world, so it doesn't matter to me. But she obviously has to work physically at places, and so it has opportunities for her
Imagine.
to work. God, and so we were
Not
looking at
working
Crescent
from
City
home.
because we like trees and we like water, and it has both of those things, and that sounds nice. But the violent crime rate in Carson City is 11.99%. So per 1,000 residents.
That can't be. Right.
And so
it's 0.0199%.
Yeah. So if we're being generous here, based on this website, my chances of becoming a victim of a violent crime are about 1 in 83, which is, for 1,000 residents, is not very great.
Wait, 1 in 83?
Yeah, 1 in 83.
So it's it's more than 1%. Holy crap! Don't go there, man. Do not.
Unfortunately, so it breaks it down too. So unfortunately, it's robbery is number one. Makes sense. Robbery's pretty easy. Not going to work for me because I'm home all the time. So you can't rob somebody who's never gone.
No, that's worse though. It's kick your butt.
You do not want to rob somebody who's home because that is a huge gamble. You're throwing, especially in America, that's too much of a risk. Think of it like animals. Animals don't want to attack a prey that may hurt them back. They usually want to go after something that is pretty easy, like an abandoned or like a home that isn't there because someone has to go to work or something. Why would you rob a house with someone in it when you can just go next door and just break a window there and no one will ever see it? But yeah, so anyways, the point I'm making is that it's the violent crime comparison here is like 11.99. The average, the national median for California is 4.4.
That's still so high.
It is. Vacaville is 2.4. So, that's not good for Carson City or Crescent City. I don't think I want to live in a place with that kind of high violent crime. But the more you start looking at smaller cities in California, the more that number seems to be consistent. And that's unfortunate because I would like to not live in a major city for a while, maybe just be away from whatever people call this living, I guess they may try to lie and call it, but it's not really good living. It's very unfortunate. And I would like to be away from people, and apparently that just becomes more of a risk to my life. And so it has been fun trying to. And so that going back to the point of buying a house without any knowledge, we have been looking extensively into trying to like figure out everything before buying a house, like what kind of crime there is, and what kind of house we're looking for, or what kind of property property taxes you'd pay and stuff like that. And it's not great. It would be nice if I could just be rich and say, like, I want to buy a big house on a big hill, and then I want a big fence around that house with a lot of big guns on it, and then nobody comes in. The end.
I think you hit the nail on the head, though. I think being away from people is what makes it dangerous. Like downtown, like there's unless obviously there's this is just a matter of trends and stuff. But when you have
you'd probably not want to commit crime around a lot of people watching you, right? It's not usually good for your success rate. Like it's easier to commit crime when no one's around.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's just a hard part of trying to. I mean, I don't know. My main goal is like I don't feel like I should live someplace if I need a gun to live there. And I don't think I've ever had that feeling in any cities I've ever lived in. Some people will be really, I mean, I will, sorry, to preface this, men will often say that they feel as if they need weapons to live in certain neighborhoods and stuff, to which I would say, LOL, doubtful. It's very unlikely that you actually need a weapon to live in most neighborhoods in a city, unless you're like actively a problem for local residents. I don't think most people are going to actually give a shit about you. Most people are too busy trying to struggle to survive as it is that they're not going to even focus on you at all. Obviously it's different for women because a lot of factors there. So usually just have a weapon in general, because as far as I can tell by crime rates, it seems to be for you specifically. I don't know why that is, but boy howdy, is the numbers always higher when it's related to females as the victims. Seems like a really problem we should solve. But yeah, so like I don't like the idea that I have to, like, if I live somewhere I might have to consider home defense options, and I don't really want to do that, because then I'm gonna have to be like, then I'm gonna have to research it, then I'm gonna end up doing like Rick Sanchez level stupid shit. I'm gonna have like homes that have doors that are actually just pits into fire lava buckets or something, and I'm gonna have like a Home Alone house. And I don't want to live in a Home Alone house, but if it's the only way to stay safe, then that's what I gotta do.
I'm looking at pictures of Crescent City, and it does look very nice.
It's a very nice looking city. That's the problem. It's beautiful. It's got ocean, and it's got big old trees, and houses are, a little bit enough apart from each other that you can enjoy it. It's not like you're going to look over your fence and see your next door neighbor unleashing a pile of shit on their front lawn. It's got some distance. It's got greenery. It's got water and a lot of cute little small town stuff. But again, it's just, for some reason, a lot of crime.
Yeah, I think it might be, the statistics might be skewed as well. Well, I mean, obviously it is a lot of crime. That does look like the numbers that are just more than just skewing anything. But the fact that there's fewer people means that any crime is going to be more significant. And again, if there are no like social programs that allow people who don't have a job or don't have a way to feed their family to actually not have to resort to crime, then yeah, it just would drastically increase that number as well.
Yeah, and I mean, it's, you can look it up and see that obviously, just like most crime statistics, as time goes by, it usually keeps going down, right? Like as you, especially California, as we continue to have more access to things that people need so they don't have to resort to doing crime or whatever, the further the crime rate goes down. And so it's not, it's just the like, well, am I willing to take the risk for potentially 10 years in the future, the city being like super, super safe? And it's also obviously like looking at the statistics is not necessarily just like violent crimes. Like there are a lot of violent crimes, but there's actually like, you're more likely to get robbed. Like someone's more likely to break into your home than they are to kill you. I guess violent crime covers a lot of other stuff, but you're a lot less likely to endure violence as a crime than you are to just have your home robbed. Which again, that's why I say like, I don't want a Home Alone style house. I don't need like, I don't need a weapon to go outside and like fight my neighbors or whatever in like a Fortnite battle. But it's more just like making sure my home isn't susceptible to robbery. And obviously I go places, I leave my home at times, on rare occasions I do. And I don't want to have to like in the back of my head be sitting there thinking about like, well, do I need to own, do I want Amazon to hang out in my house all day so it can tell me when someone breaks in, so then I can call the police who then tell me like, well, we'll try to get over there in time, but like, low priority and all that. Got a lot of violent crime here in Crescent City. Like, I don't want to like have to endure that kind of problem. Whereas here I can leave for like a week and I don't think someone's going to rob my place because no one's going to. Like, it's just not worth the effort. I mean, someone could easily. I've done it. I've broken into my own apartment complex and no one called the police on me. So that seems kind of alarming, but it was fine. It's just the way it is, I guess.
This might be a personal question, so no pressure. Do you not have insurance for?
Yeah. So especially if you're renting a place, you have to have renter's insurance. So if you rent from any kind of like business, you usually like one of the requirements is you have to have renter's insurance. And
what is renter's insurance?
It's a coverage, so it depends on what kind of you get. You can get so renter's insurance usually covers damages to your property up to a certain amount based on what you set it. So if I say, for instance, our renter's insurance is like, I think it's like $100,000 because based on like all this fucking shit I've got in here, all this technology, hardware, I've got a lot of money in electronics in here. And so it means that like if a flood happened, the floor caves out and I come careening down.
Okay, so yeah, it's insurance basically.
Yeah, just insurance for everything related to living in a place. So robbery is also included in that. If someone breaks in, steals all my shit, then obviously they'll work to get it back, but that never happens, and most likely I'll just get paid for it. So yeah, like we have that, and you can go and get that, but obviously if it happens frequently enough, no one's gonna like insure you. So depending on how many times they end up having to pay out a lot of money because you keep getting robbed is a problem. But two, it is kind of an annoyance to have to go through it. I don't want to deal with insurers at all because their entire job is based around taking your money,
ripping you off,
and then doing everything they can to never give it back to you. Which it's like a bank, but banks have laws they have to follow, whereas insurance don't really have to do much. So yeah, I don't know. It's frustrating, but it is possible. Yeah, it's possible to have coverage and protect yourself to some degree. But I don't know. It's just it is weird. I don't like I don't know. Either way, informed decisions when buying property to me is important. But I'm also trying to buy unique property, I guess. I'm trying to buy property that isn't in a common city or in a suburban neighborhood. And I think ideally we're just going to go for probably like a buy a plot of land and throw a house on it, because it's probably a little bit easier that way.
Probably cheaper as well.
Sort of. Depends on like the kind of, depends on where you get the property at, how big it is, and what kind of home you slap on it.
And the contractor as well.
Yeah, but usually it is weird to think about, but building, like having someone build you a home is usually cheaper than it is to buy a pre-made home. And it's usually just because you can build a house for the size you want and not have to try and find a house that fits the size you want, if that makes sense.
What?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, houses can come in different sizes, Keith.
Have you guys I'm multitasking. Have you guys seen the boner lamps?
The boner lamps?
They're
I will Google that.
Erect looking lamps that stand like at a 45-degree angle off the wall, and they have like a foreskin, and you pull down the foreskin and it lights up.
I think they're called like Moosey, right?
What?
I just looked into them for the first time, and like
I've never seen
they're
this.
$500 or $1,000.
Well,
or $2,000. They're amazingly expensive.
But they have spikes
Holy
on them,
shit.
Keith. I'm not going to pay anything less. I looked it up for the meme,
and I'm like, Jesus Christ, down with the bourgeoisie. They're boner lamps.
Yeah, I mean,
you can probably make them.
Sounds
sounds like a fun DIY project.
I mean, probably. It's fucking stupid. It's so fucking absurd. I can't believe this.
It's clearly art. The guy who made it is an artist. The whole point.
I was gonna say this. The page, the top of the page has 3 tabs: artist, works, and contact. Like this is performance art or something. My brain hurts. Anyway, I should probably answer the question that I asked 2 hours ago.
Do it. What's your? How do you make a
shit? I have to remind myself of the question a little bit.
Good question.
It's so I find so that what I found interesting about the question is that like it's heavily dependent on what the fuck you mean by a project. Because like my job part of my thing, like I just go, so it's like okay, just do the let's plays, and it's like well, I never finish the project that is having a let's play channel, so it very much is just like a daily quota thing. It's like when there was the original like not necessarily question, but the implication of like how do you get all this stuff done, or how do you run this channel and all that. I have to. I just tell myself I have to do it, and so I just have like a minimum that I constantly just have to keep up with. So it's like I got to do this much per day, and if I don't get that much per day, then I got even more done tomorrow. Or like I just have like I just keep a quota on my map of like how much. I mean, on my map, I keep a quota on my calendar of how much stuff there is that needs to be done in a given week. And if I fall behind and get not enough done one week, then I have to get even more done the next week, and so on and so forth. As far as like personal projects like practicing art or writing and so on, and trying to work on these video essays, which is the writing, but also maybe like part of me wants to get into fiction and stuff like that too, and so on. It's really just a lot of like trying to be disciplined enough to like get everything I want to get done in a given day, like exercise, cook, get your recordings done, and so on. And then like once you're like enter your free time period, because like technically I do have a flexible schedule, but it backfires because I have a flexible schedule in the way that if I don't keep up with my work, then it can take all of my time. like like if I have X amount of stuff I'm trying to get done, there's like the perfect version of my schedule where I can get this done in exactly this many hours if I'm very disciplined about whatever. And there's the shitty version of that where it could take all day for me to do the normal amount of work because I have to be self-motivated and have to control my own schedule, and that all sucks in its own way. But once I get my stuff done, it's just like I just have to make myself start writing or make myself start drawing or doing any of the stuff I want to keep up with. And what sucks is that they're creative pursuits, and so you can just not be able to do it. Like you could just sit there and be like, okay, I'm gonna do all my strategies here. I've got my dumb fidget toy that I use to occupy my brain a little bit, and I put my desk into standing mode, and I take my headphones out so I can't get there's like an inertia to me like getting distracted by like watching a video or anything because like my headphones aren't in, and so like I don't have access to the audio part of my computer, and I'm gonna try to write, and I've got my big nested fucking document tree in my Google Drive, and then I'll just find myself like staring at it for like an hour and not getting anything done and so on. And it sucks because there's just this dynamic of like, who knows, I still don't know how to get stuff done consistently outside of my Let's Plays where you just start and you just go, and it's like when it's been a half an hour, it's been a half an hour, I guess the episode's done. Barring extra, other circumstances of like, oh, this is unusable, I'm so stuck on this thing or whatever. But usually at half an hour is a half an hour. But like with writing and stuff, like there's no guaranteed way to get output, and it's deeply frustrating. And oftentimes it's easy to catastrophize about how much time is left, because like, okay, I have exactly 2 hours to be creative, let's go. Like the moment this podcast ends, I'm going to be like, okay, it was going to be 3 hours. It's quickly becoming less than 3 hours until 7 o'clock when we do Final Fantasy 14 stream. Like that's my goal. Is I'm gonna try to eat something real quick. I'm gonna try to write, and we'll see if I can do it. And in many cases, there's like this ticking. Basically, all the time, there's this ticking like end point that I only have this much time to be productive, and that is its own stressor of like getting in the way of creativity. As you're thinking about how inefficiently you're using your time, and you're like, this was my one chance today and I'm wasting it, and so on, and that kind of stuff all sucks in its own way. And you're also chipping away at a weird goal where there is no specific form in which it's done. You don't know when it's done or when it will be done or how far you are in doing it, or whether or not the entire project's even a good idea, or if you're going to throw the entire thing away after weeks or something. It's a very strange process. But in that way, yes, I do find it better to have multiple parallel projects, because basically like you want to have that sense of accomplishment or feel like you're working on something or working on yourself. And if you sit there for a half an hour just doing nothing because you clearly just can't deal with this one thing today, then you can pivot to the other thing. And so it's like I have days where I just no words are coming. I have no idea where I'm going with this section. I'm not getting any writing done, so I'm just gonna pop out my iPad and draw, and then I'm drawing on my iPad instead. And speaking of which, that was the one exception of the whole technical discussion thing, is that I did put out a Twitter thing where I just asked people whether I should get an iPad or a Cintiq, and like what's different about them, and why I would want one or the other, and so on. And a bunch of talented artists all gave their opinions, and they were all completely understandable and like very clearly comprehensible answers that I were immediately like, oh yeah, that is a thing I would or would not value, and so on. And that was like, I have basically never discussed any form of hardware and put it out to people like that and had that happen, where it's like I have like a dozen pieces of clear feedback that are all comprehensible and have affected my choice, and so on.
And you made the right choice by getting the iPad, I think.
I do like the iPad. I did want the Cintiq to some extent, but like it was like,
you can still get it.
Yes, I mean technically, but one of the big differences between them that's interesting is that something I didn't know to even think about is the idea that apparently the Cintiq has lag. Like a lot of drawing tablets have like a lag between when you do the gesture and when it actually like happens in the thing.
It depends. It depends. It's only yeah.
And the iPad
It's overly exaggerated. You wouldn't notice it unless you were like using Photoshop all wrong.
Because Photoshop is a setting. See, immediately I put out an opinion. Everyone's like, I actually, and then now it's like, well, motherfucker, I already bought it. I don't need new opinions.
No, you made the right choice. The good thing about the iPad is that.
Yeah, iPad's a much better decision for, especially.
It only
for
costs twice as much.
Yeah, but it's I would say like for what you want to do with what you want to do with drawing, an iPad is going to be a much better decision than like the Cintiq would be. A Cintiq is nice, and it is like I have my little like X Pen tablet, and it's fantastic.
XP Pen. You mean?
Oh, XP.
One of the upsides was also the fact that the medium or small Cintiq or whatever is larger than the supersized iPad, and there's an even bigger one, but that one's like fuck you big.
Yeah, it's really big.
But the downside is it has to function as another monitor, so you'd have to definitely have space for a graphics card and so on. But also, you're also tied to
a computer
your desk, which means like
that's the biggest
Cintiq
problem.
is now like a new piece of hardware hovering around your desktop at all times, and it's just you got to figure out where that goes whenever you're not using it, or like what kind of crazy arm is it going to be on, or like where is it going to go, like. I already have two monitors, a vertical one and a horizontal one, and then under one of my monitors is my mixer, and to the right of that monitor is my printer, because it's on my fucking desktop, because I can't make the cable reach anywhere else in this room, and that's the full dimensions of my desk. Like to the left of that is my tower of video game consoles furniture, and like where would the Cintiq even go most of the time?
Exactly.
My iPad goes on a very lo-fi, by which I mean like it's a silly piece of wooden thing. It goes on this wooden stand, and the stand literally just has a series of pegs under it, and you just change which peg the leg is in to change the angle of the entire like thing, like what angle it's like standing up at, from like 10 degrees to 45 degrees or whatever for your like tilted surface. And if you want it out of the way, you just pick up the whole thing and you go put it somewhere else.
Yeah,
it's not attached to anything.
You know why?
It just lives in the corner over there.
You know why or one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to make my custom desk was because I got a 13-inch Huion tablet, and I immediately bumped into the realizations of, I don't have a desk
all
for
the
this
time, even when I'm not using it.
Like right now it's in front of me, but I can't use it very easily. I need it's not easy. I need like a proper desk arm for that. And I don't have room for that.
My biggest hindrance was
that's a nice setup. That's a cool thing.
For tablets.
Yeah, it just fucks off over there in the corner. The only downside is there's no cable, there's no outlet over there, so I can't charge it over there.
Yeah,
that's just where my iPad lives. It just lives nowhere. Go away. Whatever. I'm not using it.
No, that's the problem. That's like one of the big issues I have with mine. Is I love mine, but I ended up having to get like this custom case made. Because one, it doesn't come with a case, but I had to like get a custom case made so I could store it places when I'm not using it. Because it's a whole ass monitor, and so obviously I'm not like it doesn't need to charge, right? That's what's nice about it. You don't have to charge a tablet. You just plug it in and it's ready to go. And so I could just keep all the plugs plugged in or whatever, have that attached to my desk so I can always easily access it, and then I just put the tablet into a little case, like a protective foam case for it, and then just slide that into my shelf, and then now it's just gone. It's hidden. But I just don't have the desk room. That's another thing. Like, yes, one, it's tied to your desk. It sucks being tied to your desk when you're trying to draw, because the only time it's ever nice is when I want to listen to music and look at references at the same time, because it's really easy to do all that when you have like multiple monitors. So being able to just be like, I'm just going to keep a reference up here. I don't need to put it into my drawing application. So I can just sit here and draw. Yeah, that looks about right. Or like if I want to listen to music or chat on Discord, like I can do a lot of things at once when I'm drawing, which is nice. But the rest of it is all just downsides to me, where it's like, yeah, it's this big clunky thing on my desk I can't walk away with. Sometimes I want to just go and sit and draw outside. Maybe it would be nice to just enjoy the environment, which, I could just go get a sketchbook, stop being a baby. But then I got to do more work. I got to.
Then you can't circle select the part and then drag it when it's the wrong shape and size.
Exactly.
And you got to erase it and redraw it. Who lives like this?
You know who lives like that? People who have art in museums, and I don't want to be them. So thank you.
I got old so fast during my like art challenge thing because I was like, before I let myself just get a drawing tablet, I'm gonna make myself do this self-imposed 30-day art challenge where I draw on this notepad that I've got and just see if I'll follow through with it before I spend a bunch of money on a thing that I might not commit to. And I finished the challenge, but boy, was I getting tired of it by the end because it does get so frustrating working with pencils and being like, I just want to fix this without erasing the whole thing and trying to draw that like head again. And now it's wrong for new reasons. And the weirdness of how whenever you draw a body, every time you draw another part of the body, the previous parts of the body get wrong. Like they somehow become more wrong the more of the body you draw because proportions are so weird. And you're like, I just really wish I could resize things.
Yeah, I tend to draw, like I'll spend a lot of time drawing plants if I'm doing physical drawing, like on a pen, like pencil and paper. I'll spend a lot of time drawing plants that way. And what's nice is that I'll draw a plant and then I will start inking over the parts that I did perfectly, the parts that I'm like, oh, this is exactly what I want it to look like. And then I'll erase the rest of it and redraw the parts I didn't like and then go back and ink those last. And so that way I can basically, like, the goal is just to use the sketch portion or the pencil portion to just draw some shitty thing and then ink over the parts I like, erase the parts I don't, sketch over it again, ink the parts I like, and just like it's a slow, meticulous process. Whereas on a tablet, I'm just like, here's a shitty sketch. Okay, transparent that layer. All right, so I'm gonna draw this part and draw all that. Now that looks like shit. I'm gonna cut half of this painting out and I'm gonna redraw all this portion. Like I can just so easily fix a problem on a tablet than I can.
Oftentimes,
with,
the
physical
process
drawing.
of making a drawing look better is just to do a shitty sketch, reduce its opacity, make a new layer, draw over it again. And then you can just take that layer and reduce its opacity and draw over that one again, and you can just be like, we're gonna keep iterating until this finally looks right.
And that's why my sketchbook is vegetable paper. Is it called vegetable paper in English? Architect paper?
No. Like paper you can see through, essentially.
Yeah. It's I think it's called tracing paper.
I repeatedly, when I was drawing in my book, I was like, I miss that light table we had in my graphic design class in high school. Because
the light tables are good.
With a light table, I could have layers with paper.
There's a desk at Michael's you can buy that's set up specifically for that premise. So it's like half of it is a regular desk, and the other half is just like, oh, I'm gonna pop this desk open and put a light underneath it and like get to sketch it. I'm like, oh my god, all right.
Or even all you really need is you just need any kind of table that has a glass part. And then you can just put a light under it.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Your light table could be your phone, as long as you just have something glass to put something on. But anyway, this has been another podcast. We did it.
We did it?
No one has been able to stop us yet.
Well,
incredible.
They were able to. They chose not to.
Oh boy! What? I just looked at OBS and realized that your guys' audio was not recording this entire time.
You better not screw it up, Andrew.
So hopefully everyone's files work, and also I have to figure out how to sync this up based on hopefully somebody else's recording, because I have no sync. Because
Andrew records everything, right?
I do also record everything.
It just has to arrive this time because it doesn't always arrive, and then I just use my OBS instead. I'm like, oh, whatever.
I will make sure it arrives, because obviously we don't have.
Anyway, see you guys next time. Sorry for giving some of you a slight background stress of the idea that I talked about my closing window to try to be creative, and that's eating into right now. I'm gonna go do that now. I'm gonna go try to write.
Do creative things.
So bye.
Do them. Bye.
You don't just record all 24/7. What do you even do with that money I give you on Patreon?
Go.